right, hang on. Yep.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Take-Two Productions spoiler talk for Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. Sort of a co-production of Knights of the Podcast, but we're still having an episode of that later on this week. And, of course, I am Chris Doman here, head of operations at Take-Two Productions, and I got the full panel and a special guest here today, who you guys might recognize from our Star Wars charity watch-alongs. But yeah, we're here to talk Star Wars, and I'm going to go across the panel to, first off, Matthew Kearns. Dude, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I got my lightsaber here. Oh, wait, you know what? Never mind. I'm ready to talk about, ready to talk about spoilers.
Yes, indeed, indeed. Also with me today, I've got Manning Franks. What's up, man?
Hey everybody, I swear if I hear one more person tell me to let the past die, I am going to scream because we will find out my opinions on this in a little bit.
All right, fair enough. And our special guest today, Frank Janish from the Schmodown Rundown, who, like I said, a good friend of the channel, always happy to talk Star Wars, man. How are you?
I'm doing excellent, amazing. I'm so excited to talk about The Last Jedi. I even wore all my stuff, my gadgets from Celebration, the thing I got from my double feature. I'm super excited to talk about this movie. All spoilers. Can't wait.
Indeed, and I'm here, of course, joined by our host of today's spoiler review because he did a shit ton of notes, and I was going to do it, but you know what? If he offered, I wasn't going to stop him. Jacob Blunden, how are you, man?
I'm good, thanks, guys. I'm really excited to talk about this one and been holding it in since Thursday last week. So it should be good. This is going to be a lot of fun. All right, guys. So, Chris, I'm going to start with you. What are your general thoughts on this movie?
My general thoughts on this film are that I love it. I absolutely love it. And here's the thing. Okay. So, as some of you guys might know, I love The Force Awakens, but I think it still had a few problems because I am one of those people who says that it has repeat of A New Hope. And that's not a bad thing, but the difference between that movie and this movie is unlike Force Awakens, which has quote-unquote repeat of A New Hope. This movie has rhyme of The Empire Strikes Back, if you get what I mean. Because, how George is always saying, oh, it's like poetry, it rhymes. And I'm not going to lie, that's exactly it. That's exactly what this film does. And it rhymes Empire, and a little pieces of Return of the Jedi, maybe Attack of the Clones a tad bit, but there's nothing, I only have one legit criticism, which we'll get into, and the rest I have a couple of nitpicks. But I honestly, color me pink, but this is in terms of quality, this is the best Star Wars film since Empire Strikes Back. Bar none.
All right. I am going to reiterate again to all of our new viewers. We are talking spoilers. This is a 100% spoiler review. If you are here and you have not seen The Last Jedi, turn away, come back later, because we are talking spoilers and we will spoil everything about this movie. Matt, what are your general thoughts?
I said this on my Facebook page when I came out seeing the movie, and I stood up late to say it, and what I said was I made kind of a paragraph, but the last line I'll read here is, this movie reminded me why I will spend a week watching one film from this series a night in the lead up for a new movie, why I spend 10 hours sometimes watching the movies in one day, why I watch all these behind the scenes features, why I'm on here talking with you guys. This movie just had so many Star Wars things, and it just expanded the lore and characters that I've loved since I was a kid. I love this freaking movie. It is just so good and has so many interesting things in it that I can't wait to get into. But just bottom line, this is just an amazing Star Wars movie.
All right, Manning Franks, give us your general thought.
Hear you guys talk about this makes me wish I loved it as much as you guys did. I wish I walked out of there screaming to the top of my lungs, "This is the best movie, the best Star Wars movie since Empire." I can't. I have some serious problems. Not as a Star Wars fan. As a Star Wars fan, we can get into that later. But as a film, there are some criticisms in here that I have. Might have fallen asleep on some parts in the second time, but I guess overall, I liked it a lot more the second time when I saw it in comparison to the first. The first, I was verging on negative, and the second time, I was verging on, which I am now. It's fine, it's good, it's fine. So hopefully, we can get into that and discuss a bit more about what that means.
We absolutely will, and we're also joined by Frank. What are your general thoughts?
Generally, my thoughts are this movie threw me for a loop quite a few times, a lot of twists and turns I didn't see coming. I greatly appreciated that I couldn't really guess where this movie was going to go. I'm not so attached to everything that's been done in the past that needs to still be brought into present day Star Wars. So I think that helped fuel my enjoyment for this movie. I like it. It's definitely top 3 of the franchise for me. I feel pretty comfortable and confident saying that after 2 viewings. The first viewing, I was blown away. It was very inundated with a lot of information. Second time around, I kind of knew it was coming, so it was a lot easier to see things coming and appreciate it on a different level. Some parts hit me harder than the first time and vice versa. Some didn't on the first time and now the second time. But overall, this movie got me excited for the future of Star Wars. Because it's going to be something new and exciting, and I like the direction that everything is heading in.
Yeah. My general thoughts, you guys got to see my quick take of this movie on Take 3 earlier. Generally, I was a fan of this movie. I thought it was a fun, great, really dense, and incredibly well-made film that told some really interesting themes and really deconstructed what we know a Star Wars movie to be. I think it kind of fails in a few areas, but on the most part, that I enjoyed the hell out of that movie. All right, let's go through and discuss scene by scene this film. All right, let's start with what an incredible opening crawl.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I actually have it written word for word. I'm going to go through. I have it written. I've seen this movie 3 times already. Okay.
I hate
you.
I hate you.
All right. The First Order reigns. Having decimated the peaceful Republic, Supreme Leader Snoke now deploys his merciless legions to seize military control of the galaxy. Only General Leia Organa's band of resistance fighters stand against the reigning tyranny. Certain that Jedi Master Luke Skywalker will return and restore a spark of hope to the fight. But the resistance has been exposed. As the First Order speeds towards the rebel base, the brave heroes mount a desperate escape. What I love about this opening crawl, and I do just want to discuss this one a little bit before we open it up a bit more. For the last 2 years, we have been told Last Jedi will pick up directly where Force Awakens ends. It will pick up straight away. And everyone was kind of on this thing of, are we not going to have a crawl? Are we not going to, thinking that it was literally going to open with Rey and Luke on the island. I thought they did a really good job of, no, we opened it in space. We opened it with a massive ass space battle. And this crawl just found a way to let us know where everyone is again in the world, like any good Star Wars crawl is able to do. Matt, what are your thoughts on this crawl?
I love this crawl. You know, I made the joke when we found out that the movie was not going to do time jump, it was going to pick up where the last movie made off, that the crawl is just going to be, yeah, not much has happened, ... you know. But, you know, for Star Wars, like, for those of you who don't know, the crawls came from Flash Gordon serials. And Flash Gordon serials picked up where the last one left off. There wasn't a lot of time. The crawls were there to remind you, if you had not been to the theater last week when the last episode came of what had happened. That's exactly what it did here. It caught you up on, yeah, we're starting off, but we just need to catch you up just in case you didn't get to the theater last to see the last episode. And that's exactly what it did. It was great. I watched Force Awakens. I went on Friday. I watched it that morning, so I was already there, but just reading it, it's just reiterated what I had just seen, the ending of the movie, and sort of puts you in the spot of like, all right, this is where we are, and I was just ready to go from there.
All right, Frank, what were your thoughts on this opening crawl?
This opening crawl really did a lot for me to set the tone of going forward in terms of what the First Order is. This militarized occupation is now sweeping the galaxy. And one word towards the end of that crawl that really caught my eye the second time around is the word spark, because you hear that a lot at the end of the movie, and it's fitting that he throws that word in there, and it's to tell you something that's going to happen later on in this movie and what ultimately is going to happen with the Resistance. So I thought the crawl did. You're right, Matt. Caught you up just enough, not too much, because not a lot of time has passed. And by the way, coming out of the crawl and all that stuff was executed, I thought, really well.
Manny, thoughts?
Yeah, this is an excellent crawl. I knew somehow they would have to incorporate the fact that this takes place literally like minutes. Well, actually, before Rey meets Luke, because the travel probably took like some period of time. So the fact that the First Order was right on the tails of the Resistance makes sense. And so we actually get to see that into what we will find out to be one of the best space battles, I think, ever in Star Wars. This was an excellent crawl, and I enjoyed it. So,
all right, and Doman, what are your thoughts on the opening crawl?
Hot take, guys. This is the best Star Wars crawl to date.
Ooh.
I'm serious. I am serious
Wow.
when I say this.
I didn't even think about ranking it, but
because this crawl had to do something that no crawl before it has done, and that is keep a sense of continuity from what could be days, weeks, hours, and it was the most perfect transition from the cliffhanger ending of Force Awakens into this opening setup on what is now the fight for the Resistance lives as they know it. Honestly, like I wouldn't change a damn thing about it. It's not cheesy. It's not clunky. It doesn't start off with a single word, even though I freaking love that crawl too. But
I love that.
But
I miss taxation.
But
I don't love that one that much. I don't love that one.
Not that one as much. But I have to say, like this, it like I said, when it's single-handedly one of those perfect transitions. It as a segue from 7 to 8, it gives Mark Ellis a run for his money. So,
well, all right. Let's move on to this opening battle. Now, I have some very specific thoughts on what I think of this, but I'm going to let. All right. So the opening battle is basically we're going to talk from when Poe goes up to face Hux, and when and basically when Finn ends with "Where's Rey?"
Right.
That's what we're going to go to. So, Chris, what are your thoughts on the opening battle?
love it, and okay, Jacob, you and I discussed off camera after this movie came out that for you, this was the opening of Revenge of the Sith done correctly.
Yes.
And the only and I said I'd meet you halfway and said that it's the opening to Revenge of the Sith done better. But I already loved the opening to Revenge of the Sith. So this opening battle with the World War II feel of it is simply amazing. Because it's amazing on two fronts. One, the comedy worked perfectly in this sequence. Hi there, holding for General Hux. This is Hux. I am about to give you a very important speech about how you are all going to die. Yeah, sorry. I'm still holding. Like that is so
Poe.
perfect. That is
That's
Poe. That is so Poe. That's so Poe.
That's so Poe.
Hashtag that's so
You
Poe.
talk first. I talk first.
Let's make this happen,
Jesus,
people.
my God.
But the effects are fantastic. The flight motion of how everything goes around, it's actually very controlled and it's very tame by Star Wars standards. Because usually there's a little more movement, there's a little more craziness, but this time they kept it a little more slow, and I actually really respected that. So from an aesthetic point of view, it was very pleasing. From a score point of view, it was fantastic, and of course, like I said, the comedy just so many good quick one-liners. Which, by the way, I didn't realize this. The first line in the movie after,
Yep.
the first line that BB-8 says is the droid version of "I have a bad feeling about this."
Yep, I was gonna get to that, but yeah, that's that was a tidbit that Ryan Johnson announced earlier. He was like, "Yeah, that is the droid saying I have a bad feeling about this," which I thought was brilliant, considering one of the first things that Chris messaged me and said, "There's no I have a bad feeling about this in this movie." I'm like, "Well, there is." Technically, there is. Matt, what were your thoughts on this opening battle?
I loved it. For those of you guys who didn't watch our Force Awakens watch along, Poe Dameron is my favorite of the new set of characters. This opening scene just reminded me why it fit the character perfectly. The whole, I'll hold for General Hux, and just like Hux getting so angry and Poe is just like, and then you realize he's buying time. You're just like, he has to buy time, but there's so many different ways he could do that. But of course, Poe Dameron, being the cocky guy he is just going to be like, I'm just going to pretend like I can't hear him. And then the minute he downloads everything he needs to, and the engines kick in, and Poe just the one gripe I have, and it's not even real gripe, is that we don't really get to see badass X-Wing pilot Poe a lot in this movie. But I'm happy that if we were only going to get it for a scene, this scene was fantastic of him taking the guns down. The back and forth between him and BB-8. I mean, this is, I'm going to make a bold statement here, but Poe and BB-8 is pretty much Chewie and Han from the original trilogy. And you get that great back and forth, like even the opening when he says, I have a bad feeling about this. Poe just goes, yeah, I'm with you, buddy. Like, it's a great opening sequence. I think again, just imagining when this Blu-ray comes out and be able to watch Force Awakens and then Last Jedi, like everything just sort of fits perfectly into, okay, this is what they would need to do. They need to buy time for the Resistance to get off the planet. It was just, and it was also a great start to Poe's arc in this movie that we'll get into later, which is a fantastic arc and perfectly fits the character they set up in Force Awakens. So I love it.
Absolutely. Manning, thoughts?
I would say instead this was less of Poe being an amazing pilot and more of Poe being an amazing character, specifically in this scene, because he got to do a lot of awesome things, but instead his character grew a lot more because Poe was fine in Force Awakens. I didn't really gravitate toward him that much. This one, he shone as a character specifically, and I feel like this battle, it takes place basically above the dreadnought for the entirety of the battle, but even that, it's an amazing experience because you get to watch Poe being the best pilot in the Resistance. And I love the humor. I had a problem with the your mom addition at the very end. I was like, oh, okay, we're getting into a little bit of humor, of current humor, but I loved everything up to that point. It fits Poe, so I'm not gonna really complain about that. It was more of a small gripe, but I can let that slide. And the emotion in this level, when they were in this scene specifically, has like multiple layers in the specific sense of when you find out later that this was Rose's sister that basically did the final attack on the dreadnought. That has a little bit, because I was wondering why they were showing that little moon. That makes zero sense. And then I realized, oh, there's a point to that. It was an excellent scene from both Poe, from both an aerial battle standpoint, and for setup later. I thought it was excellent and very well done.
Frank, I do also just want to mention this. Do you think that that they built the dreadnought as this is another kind of Death Star that they need to destroy in the first minute of, and they kind of like got that over and done with at the start?
No, I didn't see it as another Death Star. I just saw it mostly as like another Super Star Destroyer type of ship. I didn't think it was super menacing, super impenetrable, even though they kind of made it out to be that way. But the battle overall, starting with Poe, after his sequence of taking out the turrets, I said to myself, is he? I mean, in Star Wars terms, in Star Wars lore, I guess, is he a better pilot than Anakin's made out to be? Because from what I see, I mean, granted, there's different ideas of how you fly the X-wing and how Anakin flew his own starfighter, Jedi starfighter. But there's just a lot more that they've figured out how to do, I guess. It just makes it, from my eye, make it look that way. I'd certainly like to see a dogfight between Poe and Anakin. The bombing sequence very much reminded me of, if you guys have seen Memphis Belle and the B-52 bombers, just that whole scene of them trying to get these bombs ready to drop, very reminiscent of World War II bombers and their bombing runs, which I thought was great. You set that in a Star Wars setting, worked for me really, really well. Paige being this last person to, drop the last payload. They totally had me fooled that she missed the remote to detonate, make the drop, and it was brilliant the way when they cut back to it. I said I could actually buy her turning over and grabbing it at the last second, and that whole sequence worked for me. Not to mention, I really felt the Resistance was desperately on the run from their first order from the get-go, and for a long stretch of this movie, I really felt that they were in danger, at least for the beginning part of this movie, trying to get away, get their ships out of range and all that. So I really felt, man, they were coming after them hard, just kind of like the Krull kind of set up. So at this whole beginning was just done very, very well, and I loved it.
Yeah, I think the opening was great. Get your beak wet, just, all right, welcome back to Star Wars. And I did say this earlier, I think this is probably one of the best opening space battles that we like. Compare this to Revenge of the Sith, which is, if you watch our charity watch along of Revenge of the Sith, I did not like that opening. I do not like the opening at all of that movie because it is so much noise and you've got no idea what's going on. You don't care about anything that's going on. Whereas in here, it starts small. It starts with one pilot taking on a giant ship. It introduces you, this is the stakes, and it slowly turns into a battle. And that's what I loved about it. I went, when I was watching it, I was going, this is what I want from a Star Wars battle. And I just loved it, and I thought it was fantastic. And ending with what I do love is that what this scene does is it sets up two very important character arcs in this film. You start off Poe being a arrogant hero who thinks that the best way to fix everything is just by blowing it up, and you set up Finn as well as a guy who just wants to survive. That's all he cares about. He wants him and Rey to survive. The only two people he cares about, himself and Rey. They are his two storylines, because by ending the opening scene with "Where's Rey?" that's what you're setting up. Is, all right, you've set up Finn's storyline, you've set up Poe's. Now we're moving on to setting up. Now you're moving on to where we're setting up Rey's storyline, which is Rey meeting Luke. I have issues. It is a great laugh where Luke gets a lightsaber. It is a great laugh. But I don't know. That moment to me felt wrong and rushed, and I feel like he should have just dropped it and walked away. Or it shouldn't have been the laugh. It should have been you could have done that in a dramatic way rather than a comedic way, and I think that would have been better. Anaconda by Josh brings up a great point with this movie, and I'm going to go into a bit more of a generalized thing here. Some of the humor in this film did feel very forced, whereas in Force Awakens and the originals, they feel a lot more natural. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it is a lot more forced in that at this moment we are going to have a joke instead of a dramatic beat because we feel like we need a joke here. Where I think that scene would have worked better as a dramatic moment. Matt, what are your thoughts on Rey meeting Luke for the first time?
This scene I really enjoy, and I think for me it got a laugh, but I think it got a laugh out of the unexpectedness, because when you really look at this is a serious scene. I think it's the type of thing, and this is to go to your general statement before I go back to the scene about the comedy is very subjective. I already know there's going to be family members of mine who are not going to like the comedy of this movie. I will agree some of the bits maybe are a little forced. This one I didn't, because I thought it was a perfect way without Luke saying a single word that I give up. Like, I don't care. Like, you have this lightsaber that 40 years ago, Ben Kenobi said, your father wanted you to have this when you were old enough, and he has not seen it since Bespin, and he takes one look at it, takes a look at Rey, and just says, I don't care. I'm done, and walks away. And it is a perfect opening and setup to Rey and Luke's separate arcs, which we'll get into, but I really enjoyed the scene.
Manny, thoughts?
I definitely agree with Jacob here, because the first time I saw it, I'm like, I had suspicions that Luke would be basically the grumpy old man,
Mr. Miyagi.
I was trying not to say that because I'm like, people have said all the time, yes, Mr. Miyagi. He would be the grumpy old man, and then in the end he would, train them and all that jazz. But by throwing it, I don't know. This is the moment where I was like, wait a minute. I didn't realize how much that would emotionally affect me, seeing Luke, who I've known just kind of throw away his father's lightsaber just like that. This is where the journey begins of my emotional journey of coming to accept that this is not the Luke I knew. This is not the Luke that I saw in Legends, I guess. This is not the legend of Luke Skywalker as I knew it and as I thought it. He was a different character. And we'll get into, as we get later down into the story, or later down into the movie, we'll explain a bit more on that. But him throwing it in of itself and Rey's reaction, I thought was good. But for the emotional weight, I think it would be better if he had just dropped it instead. And, I understand why they did that, but I feel like it would be effective if he instead had just let it go instead of throwing it in a comical manner behind his back.
Chris.
Okay. I think everybody is trying to, again, so we're talking about forced comedy. I think everyone's trying to force the idea that this was supposed to be a outright comedic moment. Because I actually don't think that. I genuinely don't think that. It comes across as comical. I get it. But simultaneously, that's actually a pretty genuinely human reaction, I think. As, someone who, he even says it himself, he came to this island to die. So he gives no fucks. He gives absolutely no fucks about, oh my God, this is my old lightsaber. And what am I supposed to do with it? Am I supposed to just pick it up and, go fight my nephew? No. I'm just going to take it and chuck it. Now, granted, could it have been done better? Absolutely. But I almost feel like people are sort of overanalyzing that exact moment. But that's just me. That's just me.
And even if it wasn't intended, I will say it did come across. My theater laughed a lot at that. And even if I don't think they intended it, it did come across as that. And I feel like it took away just ever so slightly what could have been a very punchy moment. Because, laughs also get the audience going.
That's where I think I had a bit of an issue with, is the fact that they build up, is that the way that it's shot and built up is that it's going to be built up for this big dramatic moment, and then, it's not. Frank, what are your thoughts on Rey meeting Luke for the first time?
Yeah, I'm with Chris. I actually didn't see it as a comedic moment. I know my audience did, so I inadvertently did laugh a little along with the crowd. But that wasn't my initial thought. My initial thought really was, what in the hell happened to Luke that would make him do what he just did? What happened to him in the past that he's like that with that lightsaber, especially, it was his father's. He's completely dismissive of what the object he just held in his hand, because at that point, we later found out he completely dismissed the Force and the Jedi Order. So it was an interesting way to set up what was to come. I think it perfectly set up, his views on the Jedi and the Force and everything that it means in the galaxy and how it operates with dark and light and all that stuff. So while it's kind of a funny moment, I can see that. I initially and honestly did not take it as a comedic thing. I took it as a very dramatic showing of how he's so past all of this that this is not for him anymore. So it's, I mean, had he thrown it just to the ground, I don't think it gives as strong a statement, but I think it's a point across too. But I think by them deciding for him to throw it, I think it makes a more powerful statement, and I guess at the same time, a comedic statement.
Accidental comedic.
Yeah.
Accidental, but
But I did love these little moments, like where that paid off to the next joke, which was the Porg sitting on the lightsaber and another Porg looking into it. And did anyone else? Oh my God.
Yeah, I was like,
I so wanted the Porg to just ignite it, so I would be happy, and they would all just die, and I would laugh.
Well,
tremendously.
to jump into that, because that scene is also part of the reason why I think it's good that he didn't just drop it, because then you don't get the moment of Rey picking it up, because she goes immediately after Luke, and I think it was a smart choice to sort of leave the picking up the lightsaber for later, because the real thing there was she had to go after Luke, because it's, wait a second, I just spent the entire movie hearing about this amazing Jedi, Luke Skywalker. I fought tooth and nail to get here. What is going on, dude? So that's why I think the tossing it over was good, because it the symbolic, the dramatic thing of I don't care about the Jedi anymore, of throwing it over, and then also because she didn't have to go pick it up and then chase after him. She could just immediately beeline and be like, "Whoa, what's going on?"
This also sets up the very heart moment of Luke finding out that Han is dead, which did anyone at that point kind of go, wait, how do you not already know?
Yeah.
Well, but they explain it. They do explain it. They do explain why, but that was the first clue. And what I do love about this movie is that it has the first half hour of this film is a lot of setup and for payoffs coming down the line. And that's what I think this film does do very well. Let's move on to the Snoke Kylo scene, where we see Kylo Ren destroy his mask and get pulled off by Kylo. Guys, who wants to take this? Manning, I'll start with you.
This scene was so good. The previous one, Snoke, while intimidating the very first one, we didn't really get, that much with him. Andy Serkis kills it with Snoke for this time. I was terrified with every single second that he was on, with his simple whim of a finger flick or with his simple force lightning that's like pointing to the ground. This man commanded the room, and to have him say, "Take that ridiculous thing off." Oh, that helmet, that was kind of like a big, hey, you know what? His mask, kind of ridiculous. We understand and we get it. And then Kylo submitting and finally destroying that. This was an excellent scene, and this literally gave me chills. This evoked basically more of a abusive relationship in comparison to, in a different way, in comparison to Vader and Palpatine, who was more manipulative. Snoke was pure on, just like, I'm just going to mess with you and for no end because you are worthless and pathetic, beating him down and making us fear him, because Snoke, while even his golden bathrobe, I can get behind that. It worked in the final product. His golden bathrobe did work. And especially with the aesthetic of the red room and the guards. Oh, it was so good. And I feel like this was one of the highlight scenes of the movie.
Well, okay, so to build on that for 2 seconds here, I actually kind of thought that Snoke was gonna get a couple more moments of using the Force, but that's because they were saving that for later. That's why I'm, keep my mouth shut about that part, because
saving that
again, like Jacob said, this first half hour is setup for amazing payoffs. So
yeah. Absolutely.
I mean,
Yep, sorry, Matt. Go.
No, I liked this scene because I thought, again, the setup of this first sort of half did a great job of setting up the arcs, and for Kylo Ren, because in the last movie, his thing was kind of, I'm a wannabe Darth Vader, aesthetic and all, like I'm gonna make a mask that changes my voice, and this having his first scene be destroying that symbol and being his own evil set up what we'll get to at the end, which is Kylo Ren is definitely not Darth Vader, and we will find that out by the end that he is not Vader whatsoever. And so it was, again, very symbolic. I thought Adam Driver played the scene in the elevator of just destroying the mask. And Snoke, we'll get later on, I did like it. The yellow robe, it was a little too Hugh Hefner for me. It was a little, I thought he was, going to have a martini at some point. It was a little, but you know what? It's aesthetics, it's Star Wars, whatever. But I loved this scene.
See, I really loved the design of Luke. Of Snoke, sorry. Wow, that's two different things. I really loved the design after that. Now, I was the first on board saying that Snoke looked like a freaking idiot in Force Awakens. I did not like the look of Snoke at all in Force Awakens. But here, he looked great. And I thought the whole aesthetic and design of the entire throne room was just absolutely gorgeous. And I think Kylo destroying the mask at that moment was just, all right, yeah, we are getting a new film, and we now have, okay, this is setting up Kylo's arc of this film.
It was incredibly symbolic in what it was trying to do.
And I think that this whole start of this film is to set up payoffs. Now we can move on to the next big storyline, which is, of course, Leia, which starts with Leia slapping Poe in the face and saying, "You're demoted." And then we have obviously the attack on the fleet again. What I loved about this moment was that we started to see, okay, Poe, like we are starting to see that, hey, just going to attack doesn't always work. But this obviously eventually leads up to the one moment of the film, the first moment that really took me out of the film. Now, this is the bit, this does build up to this moment. We see that Kylo was going to destroy the bridge. He can't do it, and then it's still destroyed anyway, and we build up to this moment of Leia in space. This was the first question I asked every single person whenever they walked in. This was the moment I wanted to discuss the most. Guys, jump in here.
Can I just, because this is going to be a big conversation, can I just backtrack to the stuff between Poe and Leia before we get into space?
Go ahead.
I loved this scene because, one, right off the bat, that's Princess Leia slapping Poe across the face. Like, you can't do that. Because it also sets to the same, which is, maybe this is just me, but watching this movie, in a way, I think Poe kind of took Ben's place for Leia of her son. She sees the leader Poe could be, and she's trying to groom him to be that, because she knows she's not going to be able to lead forever, and she needs there to be a next generation to lead. And I thought the exchange of, you can't solve everything by hopping in an X-Wing, blowing it up. This ship starts getting attacked. Poe just looks at her. Permission to hop in an X-Wing and blow stuff up? Yes. And then the moment of Poe and BB-8 that we saw in that first trailer, and it was all great. And then, of course, we get to Space Leia, which I liked. I thought, it showed, because if you read, I forget which book it is, but you find out that Yoda wanted to train Leia. Leia is extremely strong in the Force, and this scene kind of proved that if things happen differently, who knows what the original trilogy would have been like if it was Leia who got all the Jedi focus and not Luke. So I thought it was a little, it took me time to sit on it because, of course, given real world things, an image of Carrie Fisher, we've heard the Gary stories of Gary watching the scene. It was a little hard, but, there's that glimmer of hope when the eyes open and you go, why can't Star Wars be real sometimes? But I just,
Yeah.
I liked the moment. I thought John Williams' score also worked well.
Sure,
in
Kenny.
this,
Did anyone think, oh my God, this is it? But this was that they
No.
killed.
Yes, 100%.
No.
100%.
Yeah,
I
thought there were.
I would have been 100% cool with it if that's what they killed her. Because
Yes, I actually.
the one thing it would have done is it would have opened the door to Kylo still being possibly redeemable. And to be fair, he's still kind of is.
No.
Less so now.
No.
Yes,
We'll see.
not anymore. Not at the end of the movie. At that point, I guess you could argue up to that point, but
At
when the
that
movie
point,
ends, not at all.
There's no way Kylo is being redeemed at the end of the series, but we will go with that later. Now, I have
with a lightsaber in the head.
I have real issues with this Leia in space scene. Now, Josh brings up a good point in the chat. Leia is not flying; she's tethering herself with the Force. I get all that. The fact that she's in space,
Plus,
you can do the
Jacob,
exact
we've
same
seen this
thing.
before.
Okay, not in the movies. Sorry, get rid of all this fucking other canon shit. Sorry,
Whoa!
But I'm okay. What annoyed me with this one is it was in space. It looked way too much like Guardians of the Galaxy. It just didn't work. It took me right out of the movie. If instead she was still in the she was in a piece of the base where she could still breathe and was not freezing up and just use the Force to help her get out or something, then great. I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
I just think the fact that she was in space, the fact that the way that they did it to build up that we killed Leia. Oh my God, we killed Leia, and then it just looks stupid. To me, it looked stupid. All 3 times that's in the theater, every single time, the entire audience has groaned. It's been this one moment that just did not work. For me, personally.
I don't particularly like the way it looked, but I'm okay with the idea of it because I don't make up the rules of the Force. I leave that to people at Lucasfilm to do that for me. And so if they say this is what we're going to do with the Force, okay, I'll buy it. But the way it looked, the way she looked, didn't really look that pleasing to the eye. I mean, that's a small little nitpick on the scene for me. I don't mind that they use the Force. Yes, Chris.
It looked unnatural.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm okay with this idea of the Force being able to
Chris doing the thriller dance
back in space and tether herself back to the ship with the Force. So I'm okay with that. But again, the way it looked a little weird. I'll give you that.
Yeah, Chris over there doing the thriller dance. How she basically looked.
I was trying to do Superman pose, but I'm wearing a suit.
It
and
looks-
I don't want to wreck my jacket. So yeah, but yeah.
Well,
as
the biggest Superman fan on this panel, I liked it, but
Okay.
I can see why. This is one of those scenes. Same with what I was talking about the comedy, where this is a scene I love, but this is one of those. If you're like Jacob, I'm not gonna fight you on it. That there's it's all about how it hits you. For me, just hit me in the correct way. Who knows? Maybe the next time I see the movie, I'll be, Jacob will have jaded me and ruined it for me.
Well,
I don't know.
Now I'm just gonna say this. So sorry, Jacob. For me, it worked because I've seen this happen before in Rebels when Kanan had the exact same thing happen to him.
Yeah, that's right.
So for me, this worked. Was I happy with the exact way they executed it? There's some problems. But they made up for it by one of the best uses of Leia's theme ever, in my opinion. So I'm not going to fight you on it. You're allowed your opinion. It worked for me, and it didn't work for you. Fair enough.
Can we just pour one out for Admiral Akbar?
Yeah, raise your glasses.
Let me get into that. Let me get into that for 1 second. Let me finish this one thing because I have issues with that. I have big issues with that. this scene of Leia, first time I saw it, I'm like, oh, they killed her. They killed her off. This is they pulled the rug from under us. They actually killed her the entire time. No, and I was confused at first, and first time I'm like, this is really weird. And then I remember thinking back, who am I to say what the Force can and cannot do? Does it look weird? Yeah, it looks very, very weird.
Force is weird.
Hi, Mom. That was my mom. Honestly, if you're wondering why I'm looking over there in the side, it's not because I'm lost in thought, which will happen a lot. But anyway, but it feels weird. I mean, Starkiller has brought down Star Destroyers over here. Jedi have run super fast at the speed of light for instances. Who am I to say what the Force can and cannot do? Yoda brings down a storm in the future in this movie. So the Force does really strange things that I may or may not buy, but I can get on board. For instance, it's just the way it looked was very strange. It was very out of place. But before since are we done with that conversation? Can I bring up the Akbar thing?
Yes, bring it up.
Why did you just? It's like, oh, Akbar's dead. Wait, no, you can kill him just like that. That's one of my. He's one of the greatest secondary characters in all of Star Wars, and they just kill him with a simple line. Akbar's dead. All our leader. We didn't even get a single reaction shot of him dying, and that was one of the biggest letdowns of this movie. We don't even get a chance to just say goodbye to Akbar. He's just gone, and I know that's the horrors of war. This is a fantasy sci-fi movie. Give me a little bit of time to just say goodbye to one of my favorite secondary characters. Thank you, Star Wars. Why, Ryan? Why?
Well, I think that's a good transition to the arguably. All right, this is the worst part of this movie to me. That's coming up. The bit we're talking about is Finn and Rose. Now, Rose, I think, is a wonderful new character that they brought in. I think she has she is played absolutely perfectly. And she does an extremely job. She does an extremely good job with what she has and the stories that she has to and what she has to do. I just don't like the storyline that they gave her. I think that having the introduction between Finn and Rose is really well done. I will say to that. Finn trying to escape. That's his storyline, and I do find it weird that. I mean, come on, dude. You could have come up with a better excuse. Like, hey, he's a resistance hero. You could have literally told her anything and she would have believed it. Like, hey, oh no, I have to get on this escape pod because I'm taking this to go here at the orders of Leia. Leia told me to do this. I have to go do this. And, she probably wouldn't believe that.
Listen, Finn's also kind of stupid. We saw.
Yeah, I will agree to that.
He was a janitor. Let's be honest. So
yeah,
PhD material.
Here's our good people.
Oh no, he's a good person. But
but that was a bit of a storyline that kind of annoyed me. The whole we instantly figured out. Oh my god, that's how they're tracking us. Like they just knew it within 10 seconds of each other. That felt a bit rushed. It was this whole storyline to me just doesn't land and feels rushed and just doesn't work for me personally. We can get to that next part in a bit. We can get to where the next bit is later. But Matt, what are your thoughts on this scene and like where do you fall on the Rose Finn storyline?
I like Rose as a character. I think Kelly Marie Tran did a fantastic job with this character. I liked the comedy between them of she's talking about she's like, I had to incapacitate 4 people who were trying to jump ship. And I'm like, what are you doing? And then Finn just again, Finn's not the most strategic person, and just her without a shadow of doubt, she just hero worshipped him, just bam. And I think this scene goes to something I love about this movie that we will definitely get into later on when we talk more about Rey and Luke, which is this movie kind of says, stop putting heroes on a pedestal. Stop legifying, stop making legends out of people who just do something. Because when you do that, they're not going to live up to that. Rose made a legend and a resistance hero out of Finn, when in reality, we've seen the last movie, he was kind of just looking out for his own interests. He went to Starkiller Base just to save Rey, and it just sort of worked out that Han was like smacking him in the head, like, we can't just get Rey and leave. We got shit we have to do here. And so I thought that was a great sort of setup for her. And then we also find out that her sister just died, and it worked for me a lot because it was just a fun thing. Now, their storyline, I liked them as partners throughout the movie. I thought that worked very well. We'll get to where their storyline ends. I felt it was a little too quick, but if they can rectify it in episode 9, I think it might be a moment I might come back to. But as of right now, I loved Rose as a character because I thought she's a great new addition to the Star Wars universe.
Absolutely. I think Rose is a really great new addition. I just didn't really enjoy their storyline, which we will get into. But anyone else open up to discussion? Chris, thoughts on their introduction?
On their introduction, it could have been better. I could have done without the, but they're tracking us at light speed. They didn't need home.
Sorry, and I do just want to also. This also leads into the Mars scene. So if you guys want to talk about the Mars and all that stuff as well,
you mean the Battlefront 2 gameplay?
The Battlefront 2 sequence.
Yeah.
Look, again, I'll quick finish this up. These two, I like where their story goes to an extent. But this first sequence could have been better, should have been better, but it was fine. It was serviceable to the story, knowing where they go. And then Maz, what did they do to you? What did they do to you, baby? Like, it just. First off, she's setting up the master code breaker bit, and C-3PO drops that line of, "Oh, it appears this master code breaker can do anything," and she's just like, "Oh yes."
Oh.
Ew.
No.
I mean, I'm sorry, but she's
Okay, that's fine.
was not funny.
she's like a gilf with 1,000 G's in front of her. So no offense, Maz, but
that's in line with her character from Force Awakens, where she would do the same thing with Chewie and Han.
Okay. That was cute. That was cute.
Yeah, but it's in line with
It was
the character.
cute flirting.
Okay. That was harmless flirting, and also that mental image is scarring if you actually think about it.
Yeah. Anyway.
But okay, and here I'll let someone else rant because I'll admit I straight up don't like her what she does in the film. I straight up don't like it.
Since I didn't know we could talk about the Maz scene, I'll give my quick thoughts. It looked like a great cutscene from Battlefront 2. I liked more of the stuff around it. I liked more the Poe, Rose, Finn thing of them more talking about what Maz told them more than the Maz stuff. I am in the camp of, God, I wish it was Lando who they had contacted or something. Like I thought.
Oh, that would have been amazing.
I thought they'd sort of, and I love Maz from the last movie. I thought it was a little drop in of like, we need Maz, when it's like, there's a couple of other characters who it would have worked a little bit better for, but I'll get to something with Lando by the end of this movie.
Real quick about the Finn and Rose. I liked this introductory scene between both of these characters. You get a sense of who Rose is and how that juxtaposes to who Finn is and how he views the Resistance. Because he's not really super gung-ho about the Resistance. He's gung-ho about Rey and helping her. Where Rose is all about the Resistance. Her sister just gave her life for the Resistance. And you can understand why she would have this sudden change of attitude towards Finn when she finds out that he's just trying to escape the Resistance. Although he's not really deserting. He's leaving the Resistance, taking an escape out, so it looks that way. Even though, I guess in a sense, it is deserting in the sense. But I like how Rose then, you can see how she's going to affect Finn and how the storyline is going to play out. How it did play out wasn't the greatest when you get to Canto Bight, but overall, I did like these two characters and how Rose was basically going to affect Finn and how he views his stance against the First Order and with the Resistance. Get into the Maz stuff. I liked it. I didn't care that it looked like a video game because how else are you going to make it look like with an animated character like that, a CGI character? I like that, she's very spunky, kind of reminiscent of Yoda in Empire, that kind of way. And I like that, she's rambunctious and she's feisty and this very lively character. And yeah, Chris, very, very lively.
No,
But,
Chris.
Sometimes, only, so we get a little alien sexual innuendo. It happens. It happens, guys.
It happens in the galaxy.
I love how Frank has no problem. He's like, hey, I went to the Star Wars movie going, there's probably going to be something like this. I just always expect it.
Hey.
Well,
Alien love.
yeah, I think we should also I think what we'll do here is we might just tackle this whole bit and then we'll move back to the Rey Luke bit. Luke scenes, and we can get through Luke's day and talk about that. So let's just head on tackle Laura Dern's new character. I know she is okay. I have not read any of the outside canon. I don't know who she is. She's apparently in the book, in the Princess Leia book. And look, I thoroughly enjoyed her character. I thought she was a really well written character. I thought she was well done. Laura Dern gave a great performance. I think a lot of people are saying, Laura Dern just should have told Poe that what she was going to do, and none of this would have happened. Well, sorry, no, she was being the leader, and that's her job. This was the flaw in Poe's character where he didn't know, so he had to do something, and he never trusted the leadership of his team, and that's, to me, is part of Poe's arc, and that's the whole point of Poe's storyline, and that's why I thought her character worked so well in this film. I
agree.
Manning's about to fight you. I want to hear this.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I did not like Holdo. I did not like Holdo in this one whatsoever. Fine. I don't like her either. Anyway, yeah, I actually disagree. Considering she basically was like, the way she was about it, she was a jerk about it. She was like, you know what? Get back to your station. Okay, I'm in charge now. Okay, bye-bye. Why would I supposed to root for her and like her? At the very end, she's like, oh, I liked him the entire time. He's a super swell fly guy. No, you didn't. I have no reason to believe you actually liked him. Yes, is her sacrifice noble, and she gives us one of the coolest shots in all of Star Wars of what she does with the hyperspace. That is, it was so good. But I did not enjoy her because all the time I'm rooting for Poe. I don't care about her. I'm like, yes, take that, because I don't know her plan. All this time, just like, yes, Poe, take back, because she doesn't know what she's doing whatsoever. And the very end's like, oh, she knew this entire time. You tell the audience, give us a time to where we're actually debating if we want to go with Holdo or if we want to go with Dameron. Which one do we want to do we believe that she has the best option? Do we believe that Poe has the best option? Give us some conflict and don't just like out of nowhere say, oh, this entire time she had a brilliant plan. I didn't care for her whatsoever. Yes, she had a noble end, but that is about it.
And that's where I do disagree, because I actually do really love. Sorry, I disagree because I love that it subverted your expectations.
I don't see that's called. Well, exactly. Well, shit, Jacob, you just stole my word. Fuck, I wasn't listening. Yes, he subverted the expectations.
Matt's been trying to say something. Go ahead, Matt.
Okay, here's the thing, Manning. That's the whole point. You're supposed to be following Poe because Poe is the cool, badass pilot we love, and we want him to be the hero. Except he's just a freaking captain. He's not in charge. What? He shouldn't have to know the plan until he's supposed to. And the whole point of his arc is he goes, I don't know the full plan that they have. Therefore, I need to make up a plan. And that's the whole point is she didn't have to tell Poe because Who the freaking
The
captain?
moment
He
there was
wasn't in
about to be a
charge?
mutiny, she should have told, hey, okay, listen, this is my plan. Don't you worry about it. Don't fret about this at all. This is what I'm planning to do. The moment she realized they're about to take the transport out, that is when you tell him. Otherwise, I don't care about her character whatsoever. All this time she came across as a jerk because she was like, I'm in charge. I know exactly what to do. And you can't just at the very end subvert and make me care about her.
You know
I
what?
didn't care.
I'm going to compare this to a movie that probably people are going to go, you're crazy, you're insane, but it's made by the
Go
same
ahead.
company, which is D3, The Mighty Ducks, okay? Because in that movie, Gordon Bombay is no longer the captain of the team, and Charlie Conway, who is our character, our relation, we do not like the new coach because he's kind of a dick. He's kind of a jerk. We don't like what he's doing with the team because Charlie doesn't. But then we find out in the middle of the movie, Gordon Bombay brings him and he shows him he's not a jerk, he's not a dick, and then we like him at the end. It's the same thing here. She was a different character because that's the point is, again, going back to my thing of Leia's kind of Poe's mom. He liked Leia. He liked how she treated him. He even liked the fact that she berates him and sort of keeps him on track. And now this new person came in. You're not General Leia. Who do you think you are? Like, who do you think you are? What's your plan? Oh, I don't get to know your plan. You know what? Your plan probably sucked anyway, so I'm just going to take over. It's Poe's arc. It's Poe's arc. The whole time is the fact that he thinks he has the best ideas, and he doesn't even need to sit for a second and see if there's even any others, because obviously it's not going to be as good.
There was a scene they show Poe's face when they're about to announce, due to the order of succession for commanding. They have this shot on Poe, and it looks like he thinks it's going to be handed to him. He thinks it's going to be handed to him, and then it's Admiral Holdo. So right off the bat, there's animosity right there. And I think when you wrap up Holdo's story here, when she talks to Leia right before they get on the transport, you know that, or at least I felt that Leia and Holdo, they had this idea that Poe's going to have to be the guy. We got to get him ready. So, yeah, Holdo kind of came across as a bitch in the movie. I'll grant you that. I was totally on Poe's side, like, yes, mutiny, yes, let's go. Absolutely, I was. But then at the end, it's he learns the lesson. I learned the lesson as Poe's learning it in this movie. How you can't always go and subvert your higher ups, and you can't go off and do or be so impulsive. There's a long plan here in place, and I think that was part of what Holdo was trying to do in her own way. You can disagree with it all you want, and I'm not going to argue against that. So I just thought it was interesting how it took the route to teach him that lesson in the end. So, I mean, but real quick, also the whole hyperspace missile cruiser thing that she did with on Snoke's ship.
Oh, we'll get to it.
We'll get to it.
I'll end the discussion of Holdo by just saying, she could have gone about it in a way that made us at least sympathize with her, or at least try to understand. But the way it larger and played it was a way that made us fully into Poe's camp. And I understand that's what they were trying to do. But then they turn around and make her try to this character that we are supposed to root for. I didn't buy it. I was not on her side whatsoever. They could have had a character, at least introduce her maybe in Force Awakens or earlier in the movie, instead of just having her thrown in there as Vice Admiral, as someone that we're supposed to look up to and despise. I couldn't make that turnaround. Yes, she served as a plot device for me to make Poe a better character. And yes, he was a better character because of this. But all this time, Holden was like, okay, can we get back to Poe doing something amazing? Because she served as a device to get Poe to where he needed to be as a character. And yeah, that's fine, but I'm never going to look back at Holdo fondly. I'll just be like, oh, cool, she had nice hair.
All right. Let's move on to the scene. Arguably the most divisive, the one scene that most people have been jumping on, saying this is the worst part of the movie. Canto Bight. I'm going to start with Frank. What are your thoughts on this scene? On pretty much go. We'll do the whole sequence. I know that there's the Ray bit in between, which sucks because every time I go pee, I miss that now. But we'll just do the full sequence. So from as soon as they get there to when they get on the ship with DJ to fly off. So just cover the entire sequence there. Frank?
Well, yeah, didn't really care for Canto Bite. The first time I was like, yeah, okay. Second time I was like, wow, this is not that great. It was weird how they introduced DJ. I thought it just didn't seem. I don't know. Like, I guess they could have got anybody. Apparently, that's the one thing I had. That's the one thing I kind of had a gripe with. They didn't need to get Justin Theroux. They could have just got Benicio del Toro or any other schmuck. So I thought that was kind of weird. I do like his character though. The whole scene, the animal cruelty stuff. Okay, I'm not gonna ever bash animal cruelty ever. That's a serious and worthy cause. Don't get me wrong, but it's all just like. I really don't know what to say about Canto Bite in the end. I mean, it sets up the kids, and that plays to the end of the movie. Okay, but I just think there's other ways to go about it. I don't. Yeah, it's hard to defend this, and I'm not even trying to defend it. I'm just trying to make sense of it. So
I'm not going to bash animal cruelty. Frank Janish, 2017.
Yeah, but one thing I will bash is that apparently animal cruelty terrible. But child slavery, we're not going to help those kids. Just let them stay there.
Excuse me. Let's
Why?
Hey.
Same
I don't
thing
want to be
animal
this guy.
cruelty.
Hey, I don't want to be this guy.
All right, go ahead.
Me and Chris had this conversation a while ago, which is,
Right.
Anakin Skywalker, young slave boy. What does he do? He creates a robot to just do his bidding. Because that's fine.
Okay.
Listen, this whole I akin this Canto, which is why I'm very flip-flopped if I like this movie more than Return of the Jedi, because this is the Jabba the Hutt stuff. I like some of the stuff going on in this, but on the whole, I know it serves the story of the movie, but I can just, I know this is going to be, when I have the Blu-ray, this is going to be the scene that I'm just checking my phone a little bit, just not fully. There's some interesting stuff. DJ we introduced to, which I have mixed feelings on DJ. The stutter vote I could do without. I thought that was just an odd acting choice. I thought that was just an odd, I need to make this a character. No, not for me, but it was interesting. I'll say that. It served its purpose to the plot. I do have to say there is, and I guess this is more of the end bit, and if I'm jumping ahead, Jacob, please stop me, but I thought the bit, because DJ we can get into, I thought DJ did a great thing of serving, sort of like with Rose, he serves the other half of Finn's story, which is, I love the scene of him, stealing the money from the ship they're on, and then he turns on the thing, and he's like, oh, look at that. They're selling to the First Order and the Resistance, you see? War's not so black and white as we like to make it out to be. So, again, interesting stuff, but on the whole, not the great. Again, this is Jabba the Hutt minus the really cool Sarlacc pit scene with the lightsaber.
Yeah. I'm kind of there. There was some really, really interesting concepts here. The concept, they've got they've got slavery in here as well. They've got animal cruelty. There was some really, really interesting stuff. I think DJ's concept as a character was a really interesting concept. He is like you said, the flip side. He is helping Kozak. He is hey, this is what you will become. And he's the realization for Finn, hey, this is what you'll become. A man who can sell out anyone, who doesn't care about anything. And I thought that was
who just looks out for his own interests.
Exactly. And I thought that was a really great concept that just had bad execution. I'm terrified that this is going to be the new Rian Johnson trilogy. That this is the area that they want to go, because that was some reports that came out after this movie that Canto Bite was the area that they wanted to go, and I really don't want Star Wars Hunger Games, because I got 30 that bad, and this, to me, this was Star Wars Hunger Games, and I don't need that. This never felt like Star Wars to me. This felt like a Hunger Games movie, and just didn't really land with me. I will say, however, this should have had Lando in it. Lando should have been somewhere in this moment in this casino, because it just would have been that nice throwaway for the audience, just being like, hey, cool, there's your little cameo. Like, I thought,
and it makes sense. He would have, it fits his character.
Exactly. You know, if he was just one of the people there, I think that would have worked for Lando. And it would have given Billy D the chance to come back and actually, you know, be in the film and not be so not there as he has been in this trilogy. But I think this is the moment of the film that just, all right, we're dead. Come on, what are we doing now? And just didn't work for me at all. Chris, what were your thoughts?
Okay. For as much praise as I give this film, I cannot really defend the Canto Bight sequence. I can't really defend the score. I can't really defend the structure of the sequence. Now, if Johnson had restructured it a little bit, taken some of the focus off of let's say it was Benicio in the Justin Theroux spot.
Ooh.
And let's say he'd been like, oh, these people are trying to talk to me. You know what? They just got arrested. You know what? I'm going to go talk to them. I'm going to see what was so important that they had to come practically charging at me. Like, if he had had that kind of introduction, that would have been really interesting. Or if, let's say, Benicio was, like I said, just there had to be a better way to do this. There had to be. And honestly, take away the stupid horse, long neck Patasaurus creature thing. That whole chase. So I'm sorry. That scene was literally useless in my opinion. And I would also, like I said, I can't defend this scene. I cannot. And I will admit.
I want to say about that horse scene real quick, though, that I think its purpose was to show Finn to fight for others that can't fight for themselves and not run away. You know, I think maybe that was kind of what they were.
Yeah, like
Could have done a better job of it.
Yeah, it's a good concept. It's just the execution.
The delivery. The delivery is not.
The delivery was terrible, and also BB-8 tying up the guards and shooting the one with the coins. That was.
I did love it though. I did.
Don't get me wrong. Now I had a
Good
smile on my face the whole time, but if you are gonna tell me I didn't like it because it was much too like when R2 has jetpacks in Attack of the Clones, I get it. And I love Attack of the Clones. But even I will admit, it's a little weird how R2 had jetpacks in that movie. It's a little weird how BB-8 was able to tie up those guards kind of randomly, without explanation.
Well, we didn't even see him tie him. It was kind of like, wait, what just happened? R2, we got to see him at least fly, and like we got to see him the explanation of where they were. I don't even know what BB-8 did. Next thing you know, he's just shooting out coins. I'm like, okay, this is getting a little bit ridiculous. The Canto Bight scene. Now look, I love the idea of Canto Bight. The idea of this resort for the high, rich, and mighty is fantastic. Why are they wearing tuxedos? why is a tuxedo thing in the Star Wars universe? Some of the characters were really interesting. Some of the aliens I found really fascinating. You know what? They're gambling. That's fine. But it felt too much like Earth, minus the characters, and I felt that took me out. The idea of Canto Bight's fine. If we saw some of the other areas, I'd be happy. But Canto Bight in and of itself had some expectations, didn't live up to the delivery, in my opinion. And this entire sequence felt like it was from a different film. It didn't fit the narrative for what was going on. I understood what they were doing, but this is the part where I kind of fell asleep a little bit.
Exactly. Well,
because I'm like, I don't need it.
Yeah. As I said, Star Wars, Hunger Games.
Can
Let's move on.
One thing.
Kearns
The biggest problem is we got these great shots from Vanity Fair and everything. I was like, oh, this looks really interesting. If only I would have known, this would have been my least favorite part of this film. This looks so interesting.
No, that looks cool.
Yeah.
But like also the sequences, they just flew through the casino. They
literally just went through.
They went right through. I didn't get any time to sit in there, and they just went, pew, and then that was that.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to let's go back. Let's go back to Rey and Luke on the island. We see Luke's first day. We see like Luke living. We
Daily
see Rey
routine.
being called to the tree. We see Luke explaining what happened with and how, like, basically, let's go from when we cut back after Wes Han to Luke first deciding, okay, I'm going to help this girl in one of the most beautifully touching scenes in the film.
Yeah.
Oh, R2.
So good.
I thought what I love, and okay, I adore Mark Hamill's performance in this film. I think this is hands down the best he has ever been in a film ever. I don't think it's Oscar worthy. I don't think he'll get nominated. I don't think it's that, but I do think this is one of the best performances we've ever seen Mark Hamill give. He is able to go between the Luke who is damaged and is suffering and is filled with regret in his life back to a R2, like back to the Luke we know from A New Hope, when R2 walks in and he sees him and he just is filled with joy and filled with happiness, and you can see, and when he shows her Luke the recording and he just goes, that was a cheap move. That just it just works so perfectly. Yeah. It is just one of those scenes that is fantastic. We also get Chewie eating a porg, which not being able to, which I just think is just one of the funniest things ever. It was amazing. It works so perfectly. We also get we discover where blue milk comes from, which was really weird.
Was it green or was
I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. Hold on.
Okay,
on Tatooine, the blue milk came from Banthas. This is a similar product, but it's just to show the pathetic world or the pathetic state that Luke is living in. Okay, so let's just
checking.
Let's just get that out of the way right now.
Pathetic state.
But look, I did really love that sequence. I did really love the joke of where are you from? I'm from nowhere. Nobody's from nowhere. I'm from Jakku. That's all nowhere. Right. Like that worked. To me, that worked.
No. What works about that moment is you also have to realize this is the same character who I knew Hope, when 3PO's like, I'm not sure exactly where we are. Well, there's a bright center of the universe. You're on the planet which is far from. Luke knows all about being from nowhere. Also, the thing about, I'm sorry to take over here, Jacob. The thing I love about this following Luke's day is at no point do we see him using the Force. Like, even with the thing, like, he has all
amazing
these setups and stuff. Like, it's a guy who has been doing this. Like, I even love he takes the milk and it's kind of disgusting. Rey kind of gives a look and he just goes, yep, this is my life now.
What I love is they tease that he could possibly be using it. So when he jumps to get it's like, did he use the Force for that? So you don't think that he's not using it. And that's what I love about this movie is that they are able to subvert to show you something, make you think one thing, but it's actually something different entirely, which we will get into later.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, any thoughts just on this sequence alone? I thought, like, before Luke decides I am going to train Rey.
The R2 Leia scene, like you touched on already,
so good.
Gutted me. Just absolutely gutted me, man. And it was spot on when he said that's a cheap move. It was, but it worked.
Yeah.
One of the best Star Wars moments ever.
Same. I think that scene, it was just the whole thing of Luke on the Falcon just hit me in a way of like, you have to think this guy who spent so many missions on this, like he has not been back, and then to see his best friend R2, and you also have to remember this is right after he just found out Han's dead and just all this, and then just R2, they're friends. He can kind of read, and just when I did not think we were going to see it, and he pulls out that message, and Luke even. That to me is the moment when Luke is like, all right, I have to be Ben Kenobi. I can't be this depressed guy anymore. I have to be Ben. And I loved it. It's also interesting to see, again, 40 years of technology, we kind of see if A New Hope was made today, what that hologram would have looked like. Not,
Fair enough. And to
Still
piggyback
looks
off
great.
that for 2 seconds, if you were to ask me how I describe this movie, I would describe it as Logan meets the Karate Kid.
Ooh.
And that message, that whole sequence, is the beginning of the Logan part of this movie. Because, does he want to get involved? No. Does he? Yes. And thank the Force for it. So.
Yeah. Well, look, all right. Let's move on to what I think was a really let's discuss the Luke decides to teach Rey. Now, I think the first time Luke explains to Rey what the Force is probably the best description we have yet to see in Star Wars of what the Force actually is.
Yes.
I thought they played that so perfectly, so beautifully, and she was able to get this understanding and why and where, hey, this is why the Jedi do not own the Force and why we do not deserve it. And I thought that was so beautifully done. So perfectly done.
Love it.
It was just now. One thing I did notice now. So Luke says, "I'm going to teach you 3 lessons." We don't see the third lesson. We never see the third lesson. We get 2. That is it. We get that the Jedi do not own the Force, and I've totally gone into what the second lesson was for a second. Then, the second lesson is about the history of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Sorry, the height of the height of the Jedi's power. They allow Darth Sidious to take control.
I love that moment. Like just
that line.
Well, first to your point of we don't see the third lesson is, well, in classic Star Wars fashion and in classic Luke Skywalker fashion is you gotta leave without completing your training because it's just how this stuff works. Now to go to the first lesson of her on the rock, I thought the comedy worked perfectly there of reach out, Rey. Yeah, can you feel it?
We're trolling so hard.
No. And I love the so what do you think the Force is about? Oh, it's about being strong. And that everything you just said there is wrong. And then I love the way they use the Force in this movie and the expansion of it. But again, going back to this point, I love the deconstructing your heroes of. We do it too when we talk about Star Wars and expanded universe stuff and everything. And the Jedi are these amazing warriors, a great thing. And Luke literally lays out, "Hey, listen, yeah, the Jedi, we're such great, amazing warriors. Yeah." Remember at the height of our powers, what happened? Oh, yeah. The darkest Sith ever was able to take over the galaxy. Yeah, we suck. We don't deserve the Force, Rey. We suck. Understand that. And it's a perfect way to start Rey off on her training, which is you need to understand that having the Force is not it's not going to make you a hero. It's not going to make you an amazing legend. It's more of a curse than a blessing in a way. It takes a lot. And the other thing I love is you also see Luke kind of having to cobble lessons that he learned from Ben and Yoda and teach them to Rey. I thought that was so interesting that he's trying to do the same thing they had to do. But yeah, I love this sequence.
Manny?
This is where I'm going to have the break in between your guys' praise. And this is only a personal. I know why people are praising this scene, and this is coming from a personal place where I am in my life right now. The deconstruction of your heroes, I appreciate what Ryan Johnson was going for. I really didn't want that because Luke, I know he's your favorite character. I know Kearns, he's your favorite character. He's my second next to Obi-Wan. So I guess you have precedence over favorite because you got the lightsaber and all that jazz. First off, why won't we have more green lightsabers? That's probably it. I wanted more green lightsabers. But anyway, the idea of him being this guy who's like, I'll never turn the dark side. You have failed, Your Highness. I'm a Jedi like my father before me. And then suddenly next thing he knows, like, we don't deserve this power as the Jedi. It's a little jarring because you have, and this goes back to me being a fan and me trying and imagining what Luke would be and then having this tower taken down. It kind of hurts and it's disappointing. Just as a fan, it works. It works. It absolutely works in the context of the film and what they're trying to do as Rey's character and of Luke's character. But at this point, and maybe 10 years down the road, I'll be like, I accept it. I totally understand that. But right now, where I'm at, it's not. I wasn't satisfied. I wasn't satisfied because I wanted to see my hero, Luke Skywalker. I wanted to see him rise above the occasion, which we kind of get for 15 minutes in the end. I wanted to see him bask in the victory that he got from the Empire, taking them down. And we don't really get that. And yes, Kearns, please hop in.
I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry. You know what? Everything
Help me out here. Help me out.
Everything you just said there is exactly what Rey is thinking, and that's the whole point. Is I wanted Luke Skywalker to be an amazing, noble Jedi who's going to take this laser sword and fight the entire First Order, and then oh crap, he's an actual person. Because I'm sorry, I love my favorite moment in Star Wars is Luke standing up the Emperor and all that. But mind you, that moment came from a guy who spent most of his life in the original trilogy getting his ass kicked. Luke is a hero, but he's a hero built out of something that we'll talk about later, which is failures. Mm-hmm. And Luke is built from failures, and that is what this whole thing with Rey is, which is when you build up a hero and you put them on a pedestal, that is the minute that they stop being human, and that is the minute that things like an evil Sith Lord is able to take over the galaxy because we put the Jedi on a pedestal that they could do no wrong and they will always be able to protect the galaxy.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I know Luke as a character, I want him to go through these journeys, but having this sense of like never having the chance to just see him being thrusted into this stage in his life and not having the opportunity to go on this journey of self-discovery from knowing these Jedi as this high ideals and to where he is now, having that is unsatisfying in the sense of where I wanted to be able to feel that emotion, and I didn't. Instead, I was contemplating and trying to figure out, okay, Manning, get a hold of yourself. This is not the Luke you know, and you can accept that, which is why we'll get to the very end. I didn't cry when I was supposed to cry because all this time I'm thinking, but it can't end there. It can't. And I know that's the story, and it's my feeling with Rian Johnson. It's not the story I wanted, but it's the story we got, and I got to accept that.
And I was about to say, Manny, with all due respect, like that's sorry, Jacob. Sorry, just want to say real quick, just to reaffirm.
Yep.
That as long as you can admit that's on you, because dude, who else wanted Grandmaster Luke Skywalker, the guy who successfully rebuilt the Jedi Order and kept it going for 150 years in the expanded universe? I wanted that.
Yeah,
I wanted that.
My name is fucking Chris Skywalker, damn it! But no, that's not what we got. And to be honest, I almost like this more.
I do like
this.
Because
if you guys like that,
because it takes all of my expectations, everything that I knew growing up, and it says it's still there. You can have your legends, but this is what actually happened, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
This is why I think this film. We'll move on, but
finally.
Sorry about that, guys. I just got to get that out there.
Sorry, Luke Skywalker fanboy had to defend.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on. Let's move on to Luke's backstory. The reason Luke is broken is because, and we get it in 3 stages, and that's what I loved. We see 3 different perspectives. We see it from Luke's perspective originally, which was I could sense the darkness in him, and then once I could sense that, he attacked me.
Can I just say that moment is literally that Luke, the first version of that story Luke tells is he's pulling a Ben Kenobi, which is he's kind of he's just lying
from a certain point of view.
He's kind of just yeah.
And then we get the second story, which is from Kylo, which says no, actually, I turned around and Luke was standing there with a lightsaber ready to kill me. And then we get the real story of what happened, which was Luke stood there in a moment of weakness. And this is what is so heartbreaking and makes this movie so brilliant. And in honesty, makes Luke a 10,000 times better character than he ever was.
Yes.
Is because in that moment of weakness, he had literally a second of weakness where he turned on the lightsaber and he was overcome with shame and overcome with guilt of how the hell could I have gotten to that point where I was willing to kill an innocent child. And because Kylo rolled over at that point, he created Kylo Ren, and he created the next Vader. And in that point, he killed his best friend. He destroyed the relationship he had with his best friends and his sister and his family. And that is why he had to go and in isolation and cut himself from the Force and get away from it all. Yeah. Because he is overcome with shame and overcome with guilt of who he was in that moment. And that is Luke. And this is why I adore this film for what it did, was because it didn't destroy the character of Luke. It just decided, what would Luke do if in a moment of weakness and shame, he broke his code? What would he do? Well, this is what Luke would do. And he did it. Yes. And that is what I loved about this, was that we saw a Luke who was damaged because of one moment in his life. And that is what I adored about this film.
Yeah, and that the amazing thing is Star Wars is made up of, there are moments where you're presented with a choice, and that choice you make will affect your life. Anakin Skywalker is presented with the choice of saving Palpatine or saving Windu. He chooses to save Windu, and we see the path he went on. Luke has the choice of killing Vader or throwing lights their way. He chooses to throw lights their way, and here Luke has that choice again. And I love, again, we go back to this Empire. Mark Hamill's acting in Empire is maybe just where I am in my life. I connect with that, but this is, from a more perspective thing, his best acting in the entire series. And just this scene of just with the lightsaber just red, and then the turning it off, just his look of, what the hell am I doing? And then the look of shame when Kyle turns over and goes, oh God, what have I done? All right. It's perfect.
Manning, you look like you were just being Kearns to the point, but go ahead.
Oh, no, yeah, that's fine. I was going to add, like, it was reminiscent of his moment of weakness in Return of the Jedi when he let the dark side influence his fighting style and nearly destroy Vader, his own father. And this one, he had another moment of weakness. But on both times, that's what I love about Luke, he didn't do it. He didn't do it because he knew that the shame was great. But Kylo saw him and still in the end. And I wish somehow, some way, we will get some canon book or novel detailing that time period about the training of the Jedi Order and how that fell, because that would be so cool to witness that, reading that in person. Sure. We're probably going to get it sometime, knowing Star Wars. Yeah. I just can't wait to read that, because that's going to be amazing to witness. But yeah, I love the parallels to that, because, poetry and it rhymes. So, yeah.
Every stanza
and once again, this movie rhyming what we've seen before, not repeating Force Awakens. Jacob?
Frank?
That just got awkward.
Well, yes, the way they told the story of how Kylo ultimately, or Ben became Kylo, super fascinated by it. I loved how they executed it. These three different versions, and you finally get, I don't know if I hope, but I suppose we get the whole picture of how it really went down. And it was so tragic to see that just a split second, the consequence of Luke's hesitation is he going to destroy Ben? Is he going to kill him? The consequence of his hesitation is that, well, Snoke wins out and he gets Ben, he becomes Kylo. And so you understand why he feels the way he feels about the Force. You understand everything. You understand now why he tossed that lightsaber over his shoulder. You understand why he doesn't want to train Rey. You understand a whole lot more how his thoughts towards the Force and the Jedi, it gives you a complete understanding of why he is the way he is without having a canon book or another series, whatever. It gives you that. But again, I do hope we expand on that at some point, in whatever fashion they decide to do that in. I'm curious to see how that happens. Also, I'm curious. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but I read this somewhere that in that scene when Ben grabs for his lightsaber, it's still the same hilt he has as Kylo Ren. But I don't know. But I thought it might have been.
Yeah, I have to look.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys caught that or heard anything about that, but I thought that was interesting that it might have still been the actual hilt, and because it was a blue blade, so I thought it was Anakin's or Luke's previous lightsaber, but that would have been interesting.
Maz had it. Yeah, it was flaming.
No, I don't know if Maz had it at that time, so it's
it's
I don't know. It's weird.
I just have a point to bring up that I'm surprised we hadn't because we've been focused on this. But the reason why we're able to get the 3 different versions of this story is Rey.
We're getting to that.
Oh, we're getting to that.
Yeah,
do you want me to? Do you want me to wait then?
We're getting there next. That's literally the next point I was about to get.
Awesome.
Oh, okay. Should
Manning,
I
you're a
continue, or do you
Dalek.
want to take it?
So I do just want to talk about how, we have the conversations between Rey and Kylo through their link in the Force. And what I love about this, and I don't think enough people have picked up on it, is that Kylo's first word is, "How are you doing this? The effort would kill you." And they bring up that this is such the ability to do this is hugely draining on you, which sets up ultimately later in the film. And
Slants and payoffs are great in this movie.
they set everything up perfectly. Now, I don't think there is a lot of things that it's set up that don't pay off as well. But what I do is that they subvert expectations. They subvert everything in regards to this. And so there are 3 conversations that happen between them and each one, the first one involves Rey not listening at all. She just shoots him straight away and is like, "Nope, screw you, not listening." The second one involves Rey starting to doubt what she has learned. And then the third one is after Rey's cave scene, which we'll get into next, and is Rey connecting with Kylo and really feeling that Kylo can be turned back to good and that there is still good in him. Matt, talk about this scene.
Listen, the thing I love about Last Jedi is it expands the Force. It adds, I know there's a couple things in Rebels and stuff we've seen similar to this, but this is the first time in the movies we really see anything like this. And I love how it establishes the rules of Kylo going, "Can you see my surroundings? Because I can only see you." And just, and little things like when she's out in the rain and then we get this shot of the glove, just like it's this interesting stuff with the Force. And I just thought the stuff between them, I love how at first it is Rey is still in the, "You murdered my father, Han Solo. I watched you do it, you monster." And then slowly talking and being like, and hearing Kylo's side of it, it's just like, wait, what's going on here? I just thought it added a different element to the movie and to the relationship between Rey and Kylo, which we're going to get into. And I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. And I would be really interested to see if we see this carry over into episode 9.
Yeah, no, exactly. And okay, since we're on this topic now, I'm just gonna say it.
Please.
Called it, and I'm calling it once again. All aboard the SS Raylo, baby. It's happening. It's happening. It is happening. No. Okay, so again, now, do you remember how when the Rebels cherry-picked Thrawn from the expanded universe?
Mm-hmm.
What very big plot point from a very popular video game has Rian Johnson cherry-picked here? The Force bond between Revan and Bastila circa Knights of the Old Republic 1. And what happened to those two? You had a Dark Lord of the Sith, and you had a Jedi Knight. What happened? They got together, and they made some babies, motherfucker. It's going to happen. It's going to happen, especially because of the simple fact that how else are you going to continue the Skywalker lineage? How else are you going to continue this being the Skywalker lineage?
That's the point of the movie.
Hold
That's
on.
the whole point of this film.
They don't have
and we
no.
will
Yeah, but dude.
Shot.
Yeah, but okay. No, and I don't mean like shit. It's probably just being a one night stand kind of thing, but it's gonna happen.
No,
It's going to happen.
No, that's the point of this movie. Is that's it for the Skywalkers? Your blood means nothing anymore. That is the whole point of Rey. That is the entire point of this film, and that is what Rian Johnson has set up.
I know,
in this
but I'm
film.
just saying though. Why would they go through the trouble of having them be bonded to each other through the Force if there wasn't going to be some actual physical bonding going on later on in the trilogy?
I will say, if Rian Johnson was directing Episode 9, you might have a point, Chris. But I'm saying they wouldn't. But since JJ is in 9, who knows what he's going to do with that? What I want to say though is
just saying.
Yeah. Ultimately, I think Rey ends up with nobody at the end of the trilogy. You know, that's in this main cast of characters that we know now. I don't even think they'll have her end up with anybody, anyways. But the whole Force bond stuff, super interesting. These scenes between Kylo and Rey were the best parts of the movie for me. Every time these scenes popped up, dude, they had me. I was glued to the screen.
Mm-hmm.
So just amazingly well done. There's a lot of mythology that can build off of this, you know, because at one point Kylo wipes the rain off of his face, you know, it's on his glove when he was talking to Rey by the Millennium Falcon, and it was raining over there. So there's a lot of things going on, and it just shows again how powerful Snoke is. You know, he was able to infiltrate Ben Solo's mind, you know, manipulate him. He's able to meld their minds together, bond their minds together to talk. So, which kind of brings up my little disappointment with Snoke. But these scenes with Rey and Kylo just highly fascinating, and I just loved them.
All right. Let's move. Manning, sorry. Do you just want to explain? Talk about this scene for you.
Okay. Do I sound okay, guys?
Yes.
Yeah, you're all good.
I do. Oh, bless. These scenes in particular, I thought were very well done. Because first off, I didn't realize they were coming. This is the nice subversion of expectations that I really enjoyed, because, you know, you hear the Reylo shippers, which we have over here, where they were all excited for this. And I'm like, it's not gonna happen. What are you seeing in The Force Awakens that would suggest that, other than that one scene or the one scene? And I can see where they're coming from. It's not gonna happen now. It is no way happening now. But Also back to your point, Jacob, of the idea of this is no longer Skywalker's story. I'm hurt by that, kind of, but it's gonna have to accept it and move on with it, because it's in the idea of Ryan. He's doing all these subversion of expectations and breaking everything we know. And as a huge Star Wars fan, it hurts, but gotta let go and I breathe. Just so.
All right, let's move on to what I think is one of the more interesting scenes in the film, and what I think they did very well, which is Rey's cave scene. I thought this was beautifully shot, absolutely gorgeous to look at, and the sound design and what they did with it was incredible. And they really, really subverted expectations and set up that, hey, this is not going the way you think it will. This is going to go in a very different direction, and you are not ready for the direction that it's going to go. And I thought it was beautiful. Did anyone else think, like, was anyone sitting like, who the hell are we going to see in this moment?
Yes.
Very much.
I actually called it was going to be her.
Of course you did.
For you.
I actually thought when the two shadows came together, it was going to show Anakin, and it would show that she's another virgin to the Force.
I thought she was about to get reincarnation of Anakin. I was like, don't
I
shoot me.
thought it for a hot second. I was like, oh god, here we go. But then it was just Rey. I was like,
Immaculate Birth.
I have a I have a different thing with this scene. Well, the first thing is, for anyone who, again, did not see our Empire Strikes Back watch along, the cave scene in Empire is my favorite movie scene ever. Is my favorite. So I love when Star Wars protagonists go into dark caves with the dark side. And this is no different. I mean, I literally came home and sat in front of my mirror just doing this, and it didn't sound as cool. But so something when those two shadows popped up, and maybe this is just me, maybe it's just the way I'm looking, which connects to a line that we get, is it kind of looks like Han Solo and Leia from Force Awakens, which makes sense because we get the line from Kylo Ren. I'm not sure if it's before or after this, which is, you tried to make Han Solo your father, and now you're trying to do it with Skywalker, and the whole thing of like showing, and maybe it's not supposed to be Han and Leia, but showing like, this is who you would love to be. You would love for Han and Leia to walk up and be like, oh my God, you're my parents. But then it's this whole thing of, it doesn't matter, Rey. It doesn't matter where you came from. It matters who you are now. Doesn't matter who those people who abandoned you are. What matters is your journey you're on now, and they have nothing to do with it at this point. And I thought that was just a brilliant Star Wars thing, which is, Star Wars is one of the, at least the original trilogy, even though the prequels maybe not so much, the original trilogy in this scene, and again, going back to the cave scene in Empire, which is, Star Wars does such a good job of show, don't tell. Just they let images sit. They let an image of Vader's helmet blowing up in Luke's face, let the image of your parents coming together, and you're just seeing a reflection of yourself. I am mad that Lone Star and Princess Vespa didn't pop up. I thought that was gonna be it, but you know, again, just I this is gonna be a scene that I literally, when I go back to see this movie in a couple of weeks, I'm gonna be looking forward to watching again because it was just amazing.
Absolutely. Frank, do you want to add anything here?
I know this might be jumping ahead a little bit, but I'm not completely sold on we're done with Rey's parents, and I'm not sold on.
Oh, never mind. But I'm saying
we'll get to that.
Yeah.
We will get to that.
But
We're getting to that in the big scene that's coming up.
Yeah.
Which we may as well actually just start discussing.
Yeah.
Actually, let's go. We're not going to get to that scene yet. But okay, Rey attacks. Rey gets the truth out of Luke. They have a sword fight with where Luke just destroys her. Like it's not even funny how much she destroys. She has to cheat by going, "Hey, you know the thing that you can't just stop me with? I'm going to get that." And he still kind of beats her. So that we get that. Rey does a typical thing and flies off and goes, "I am out of here." And Luke goes, "That's it. I am that." He literally goes, "That's it. I am destroying the Jedi."
Can we just, right before we get to that scene, there is in the scene between him and Rey, there is the great setup, again, Rian Johnson, great setup of payoffs, which is she's holding the lightsaber. What did you expect from me to take a laser sword and go and face the entirety of the First Order? No.
Right.
And that's when she leaves. And then go Jacob, because I'm just
and
getting
then
inside that we talked about this.
Goes up, he's going to burn the tree, and all we hear we just sit. Okay, do you just want to mention this before we start? Did anyone else think he looked a little weird the first time we saw Yoda?
Yes.
I loved it.
100%.
I loved it. To be honest,
He still looks weird.
He doesn't look weird anymore to me the second time around. But
well, here's the thing.
He did.
It was really jarring. The first time I saw him, it was really jarring. But then he comes when it got cuts to him the second time, he looks normal. And I it might have just been in my head, not used to it. Might have been, I don't know what they did, but I loved this scene so much, and I love the conversation between Yoda and Luke. And this is Luke's arc. The arc for Luke is, hey, you need to train her, but not just the good. You need to let her know about your mistakes. And we make mistakes. We are Jedi. That is important. You train people in your mistakes. move on. And I loved that scene. Yoda destroying the tree was amazing.
Yes.
That was just like the
Yes.
greatest thing in the world. And I was like, this is Yoda. Yoda is trying to teach Luke, hey, you need to move on from this. You need to learn that mistakes are a part of you and who you are. And it was such a perfect scene.
Yes. I
Well,
love
plus-
this scene. Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, and plus, from Yoda's perspective, he already knows that Rey already took the books, so he doesn't care if the tree gets burnt now. He doesn't, plus, what I also have to know, what I also like to point out is, it was only awkward for me because for the last 10 years, I was used to seeing Yoda as CGI.
Yeah.
And granted, I got used to CGI Yoda pretty quickly. It wasn't a problem for me, but it was jarring for a second. From that first shot of seeing Yoda, I was like, "Oh God, oh shit." But then once I realized, oh wait, of course he's a puppet.
Well, yeah.
Of course he's a puppet because now, again, as someone who actually says that by the time I got to Revenge of the Sith, CGI Yoda looked really good. Like, I would have been fine with it either way. But that's not what I care about because Yoda gave, in my opinion, his all-time best scene. Well, okay, sorry.
One of his many.
Sorry, I take that back because do or do not, there is no try / left out the starship. That's still the best.
Yeah.
But
Okay, there we go. Save yourself.
But this is my
It's up
God,
there.
this is my number 2.
Listen, the thing I love about this is, one, we get Yoda, since Empire, loves screwing around with Luke. And that's what we get in the beginning of the scene is, talk about the books. Page turners, are they not? And he's just like,
Oh, I love that line.
those books are boring as hell. I read them, you read them, and you cannot teach this girl from a book.
Mhm.
And I love the whole thing of, again, going back to this thing of Yoda told Luke, don't go face Vader. You can't face Vader. You're not fully trained. What happens? Luke goes and he gets his hand locked off. But it's his hand getting locked off and getting shot in Jedi that leads to the moment of him looking at his robotic hand, seeing he's becoming Vader. Luke is a character built from mistakes and from failures in the past and learning from them moving forward, which is a great subjective and change from what Kylo Ren is trying to teach Rey, which is, if the past what doesn't die, kill it, just completely forget about it, never learn from your mistakes, just move on. Whereas Yoda is saying, no, that's what makes you who you are your failures. And that's what I love about Yoda is it was just a perfect scene between them because it's something where, oh my God, I'm getting a little choked up actually because I just love this scene so much because it's Luke's cranky old man arc being completed of him finally, it's Rey getting out of him the actual story of what happened between him and Ben that night and everything, which is, I screwed up with Ben. I have to move forward and I can't do this with this girl. I need to do better. And it's just an amazing scene.
Did anyone else think that this could possibly be the last moment we see Luke? Like,
No.
No, I didn't.
for some reason in me, I went, I don't think. For some reason in me, I kind of thought maybe Luke wouldn't turn up later. I don't know why. I thought that this, and if they didn't, this would have felt like this could have been a nice moment to end Luke's story on. All right, and then setting up for 9. I thought there was a chance that they could do that.
To a point of things, did anyone else, am I the only one who thought that when we're talking to Yoda and Luke soon, this whole thing, that Ben and Anakin were going to pop up? I thought
And
just
then
because
Rey and Obi-Wan.
I thought maybe that would happen. Maybe we would see, Anakin be, that's just what I thought. And it did, and I'm perfectly fine. But when I was watching, I was like, wait, are we going to see Obi-Wan and Anakin? Because I didn't really have that. I
think if we saw Hayden Christensen there, it would have been a little jarring. As much as I want to see him one day, maybe in some spinoff in something. But I feel like it would have been slightly jarring seeing that incarnation of him mixed with the Yoda and Luke that we had there. The Yoda puppet still looks strange to me, but even after the second time, it still looks off. I don't know what it is, but just does not seem to fit the scene. But the content of the scene itself with Yoda's speech is fantastic, and I feel like is definitely one of the best. I need to see it again before I rank it on Yoda speeches because he has a lot of great ones. Yeah. However, his lines and what he says to Luke, the Jedi Order is not about books. It's not about books. It is about the actual teachings of the it's about the relationships built being a Jedi. It's what the Jedi do and they stand for, not about what you can learn by flipping a book which way. It's what I really enjoy and why I love the Jedi, at least from what they stand for in comparison to what they became in the prequels as this institution that was taken down.
Absolutely, and it just and Kearns, to what I was similar to what you're thinking, but this is how I would have done it. I would have had this would have been a conversation going on all at the same time, where Yoda's with Luke, Anakin is with Kylo, and Obi-Wan Kenobi is with Rey. That would have been so perfect.
I don't think you can do that. This is, and here is my single only reason why Yoda was the perfect one for this, because Yoda is a puppet. If you can't do Obi-Wan because
the
then
prequels.
because the Jedi because of Return of the Jedi. Because at the end of Return of the Jedi, it's Alec Guinness. All right.
Yeah, but dude, you can put Ewan in the Alec makeup.
No, this is the thing. You are trying to tell audiences that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yoda works the best for that continuity issue. And if they didn't do in Rogue One, the CGI Moff and CGI Leia, I would have agreed with you. But they did. And that's why Yoda works for this film. Because
Jacob, again, I'm not disagreeing with you. It was perfect. I'm just saying that's just how I would have done it.
Yeah, I don't think you are ever going to see
No. Jake's like, nah, bruh, nah.
Can we just time out here? I thought Jacob was going to say, hey, Chris, that is why you were never going to direct a Star Wars movie.
Yeah. Burning expectations.
I don't think you were ever going to see Hayden Christensen or Ewan McGregor in these 3 films. I don't think you're ever going to see it because I would put money on the fact that you were never going to see it.
You want me to bet right now, motherfucker?
Oh, let's do it, guys.
Want me to bet right
it's
now?
on video.
Right now.
We can make this bet that you and I will, that those that in episode 9, Hayden Christensen or Ewan McGregor will not turn up.
$50.
Wow. Jacob just won $50.
$50.
How much is that in?
I'm on live on the internet. I'll put $50 on it. All right.
Let's do it.
Dear God, I can't believe that. What's happening?
All right, let's move on to the best scene in the movie. For me personally, I think that I don't know if it's the best scene in the movie, but I think this is one of the best scenes in the movie. But it is definitely by far the most gorgeous scene in the movie. Oh yeah, throne room. Let's get into it. This is a lot to Rey walks in. Snoke basically reveals that, hey, everything you have known for this entire film has been an entire lie. But Kylo goes to kill her. Instead, is able to turn Rey's or Luke's lightsaber without Snoke realizing, because Snoke is at this point of Kylo is just believing me and just following me, and is able to convince him. And then Snoke dies. Kylo uses the Force to get the lightsaber back to Rey, and Kylo and Rey have a showdown for the ages, and it made.
My audience started applauding when that happened.
Yeah, I was hooting and hollering. I was applauding. I was literally going crazy. Like, I was seeing one of the best fights in any Star Wars film. Oh, it was
Now,
Amazing.
can I just play asshole devil's advocate for a second here? We've been talking a
I
lot
probably
about rhymes and repeats. I love this scene. This was a little bit too much of a repeat of Jedi than a rhyme. We got a little bit too much of the, hey, binders, you don't need those. Hey, look, your fleet is being destroyed. Oh, I'm going to force the lightsaber to me. I mean, they
Fair.
subverted a little, but, it was for me, it was a little
Okay,
too much.
no, I'd see in this where I'm going to fight you on that one,
okay.
Kearns, because
What?
if it was repeat, Rey and Kylo would have fought.
No,
If
okay,
it was-
I'm not
but
saying
because
that.
they don't fight, and because of the fact that Rey didn't have a chance at all trying to get at Kylo, Luke arguably had a chance at taking out Palpatine because of how close he was to him. But because Rey didn't have a shot in hell of actually trying to take out Snoke, it's a rhyme.
Yeah, because see, Palpatine wanted to turn Luke. Snoke wanted to get information out of Rey. He wasn't thinking about turning her. That's why she was always resistant.
Also, Snoke wanted to just kill Rey. He didn't want to turn her.
Yeah, after he got the information, but
That's it's complete fair. I still like this scene. For me, it was a little bit. Things happened a little bit. I also am pissed off at marketing because I had to see the Kylo Ren saber in Rey's hands in a commercial when I was watching TV, which is a moment I would have liked to have seen a lot more just in the movie.
Here's the thing. That did, like, to me, because I had seen that shot and I went, oh, why did I see that shot? But at the same time, I'm kind of like, you know what? It didn't hurt. It didn't.
Oh, it didn't hurt. I'm just saying it's. We had this conversation about Chewie. I'm home. Imagine if you hadn't seen that in a trailer, seeing that, in Force Awakens was
Yeah, I just kind of think that was a moment that was kind of like, you know what? It didn't spoil anything because it wasn't like she then got the lightsaber. Like, it wasn't that, oh my god, it's a last ditch effort to get the lightsaber and fight. It was Snoke saw it coming a million miles away, so it was kind of like, all right, this is cool. If they had spoiled the scene of the lightsaber turning, then that's a different question because I can see where this is going. But they didn't. They just spoiled. She grabs the lightsaber in an attempt and fails. And I thought that was a really good moment.
Is it interesting to anyone else that we see more so in this film than we did in the last one how improficient Rey is with the lightsaber? Because that guard almost kicked her ass. She was fighting a pretty uphill battle. But I thought the moment of her tossing Kylo Ren the lightsaber and him stabbing the dude's face was like, oh my god, it's so cool.
That was the best.
It's so cool.
It was great. Now,
the setup for the throne room. It's a very simple set. It's red background, guards.
It's such a pretty set.
And if this was George, you got a bunch of windows, ships flying all over the place, explosions going on, a little this and that. This is what I like about this set, this throne room. It's very simple. It's red, which is just a great indicator of what's to come in this room. And the fact that I'm a little let down that Snoke couldn't see two things at once. But
now we're going into this is both my favorite scene and my least favorite scene in the entire movie.
Yeah.
My favorite, because I think you know why it's my least favorite. That's probably been something that's been going around for a while. But you know why it's my favorite? I'll start with the good first, because the good part is that fight is amazing. The build up to that fight is amazing. The tension, I felt it. And I understood, as a story point, this scene works amazing. From a fan of the canon, what just happened? They subverted our expectations. I know I'm going to hear that a lot. But, as a character in the visual novels and in the books, as they say, this entity, this incredible from beyond the reaches, or he's been there since the Clone Wars and saw the rise and fall of the Empire. Nope, never mind. Forget all that.
Bottom line, Snoke, sadly, is a bit of a bust.
Also, I'm good. I will defend against that.
Please, sir.
Just before you defend, can I just have this moment? So does Snoke
Yep.
not have peripheral vision? Because I could easily see from right here this
That's
point,
true.
and I'd be like, oh shit,
Oh,
that's probably
no.
not good.
He's closing his eyes, feeling the hate and the anger at that moment. He is enjoying and savoring that moment.
Yes,
Okay,
it makes sense.
He's too,
I-
thank you, Kearns. Thank you. He's too busy stroking his own ego at that moment to really notice what's going on.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And that's why I love that moment. It's
I mean,
great.
It's a great
Put this back
moment.
on.
Oh, let's put it back.
all right. Here is why.
Defend it.
Here's why Snoke. Because the problem you guys have all done with Snoke,
It's-
you have built him up in your heads. As
We didn't
he is
build.
this- No, sorry. Where in the films has Snoke?
Not in the films.
That's
Wait,
your
But-
problem.
But Star Wars is not just films. Star Wars is a cross-cultural thing for fans like us. Having built up that hype is what Lucasfilm has done. Sorry, Frank. Go ahead.
I think we saw how powerful Snoke can be when he talks to Kylo in the beginning of this movie.
Yeah, it's not its power.
He's tossing Hux around. You know, I think we saw that. So that's why I was a little like he couldn't see both of these things at once. So that's the only. I don't
It's
think.
who is he?
I'm not mad
What
that he
is-
died. It just
No. The problem is, and look,
the
and no,
point of the
no,
film.
Jacob, hold on. No, not all fans are like, oh my God, Snoke is Plagueis, Snoke is Gallius Rax, Snoke is
No,
I'm not. I wasn't
No,
like- I wasn't
no.
like-
But the problem is, in either of these films, have we gotten any form of explanation about who even Snoke is? What's his backstory?
I
Where does he come
actually
from?
don't care
What's his
about that.
motivation? The problem, and it's one thing if you just gave it and we didn't give a shit about it. Cool. We don't know, and it's that mystery that sadly takes away from him as a character. It works
Why
for
do
Palpatine.
you need it?
Well, okay.
Because
Okay,
go ahead,
okay.
Chris.
Take away Palpatine's one scene from Empire and take away his mentions in New Hope. And all of a sudden he's just there in Return of the Jedi. Does he have half of the impact he has for the rest of the film? No. Because we've been building this up for 2 movies as he is this guy who is the owner of the universe, owner of the galaxy. And then it pays off in Return of the Jedi because, again, when you have the correct amount of setup and you get the correct amount of payoff, it works.
Well,
Snoke,
sorry.
What do you know
we
about
did not get that with Snoke.
Sorry, I'm completely disagreeing with you. I adored what they did with Snoke because instead Snoke was then used as the, hey, here we go. We are now showing you this is Kylo Ren's story. Kylo Ren is the villain of this series. He is your main villain. Snoke was
Okay, yes.
About
And,
Kylo.
and again, we are agreeing more than you realize.
Yes.
I completely agree.
I think, yeah.
My thing is, though, you still should have done Snoke better.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm
now,
gonna agree.
I'm okay with the way they did Snoke. I just wish they would have displayed a little bit more of his power before he died. I like that he died. I'm okay with that. I would like to see Kylo like.
I just love the way you said that so nonchalant.
I like that he
You're like,
died.
"Oh,
I like
that
that
he
he
died."
died.
I just wish that
Yes,
maybe Kylo and Rey actually did team up against Snoke, and Kylo kills Snoke in a little bit more dramatic fashion.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's my only little
See-
tiny tidbit about that.
But the problem with that is even in the Force Awakens, I was watching that again in reference to see, okay, did I build this hype in my own head? You hear these people say he's the one that turned Kylo. He was there from the beginning. They say themselves it was Snoke who turned Kylo, and you have Snoke had already twisted into his heart, and he's been here for forever. I still don't know where he's from, what he is, and all this time you have canon, and yes, the movies built it up slightly, but the canon surrounding it also built it up with this huge fanfare, and now I have no idea, and do I even care? No, I don't even care about Snoke when he died. It was the service Kylo, but Snoke was a Marvel villain. He was basically Malekith, but better acting. With
So,
Andy
wait,
Serkis.
wait.
wow.
Hold on. I just realized something there.
Ooh.
So based upon that logic then, Manning, the same reason Holdo didn't work for you is the same reason that Snoke didn't work for you. Because all the characters
Expand.
those characters were... Okay. You said earlier that even though you get that Holdo was there to basically be the building block for Poe's character, Snoke, by that same logic, then, is pretty much in this film just to be a building block for Kylo Ren's character.
Yes,
Parallel
he felt like
storytelling.
he was just there. He was just there. She was just there to serve a purpose, and I had no rhyme or reason to even care about his death, and the fact I'm like, oh, okay, that just happened. If we had just a little bit more, maybe like, where he came from, or why he turned, or why he hates Luke so much, other than the fact that just like, I must kill Skywalker, blah. I don't know why he has that motivation, other than the fact that, he's the villain. And
Ooh, guys, look at this. Coming summer of 2020, Snoke, the TV series on Disney Street.
Ah.
I swear if they do that.
Well, with that, let's move on to.
Yeah, okay.
Can I just before we move on, because I kind
You
of
have
just
to.
let
Why
that
not?
run. I let that just run.
This is going to be longer than the
Uh,
movie anyway, so let's do it.
My thing with I'll make it really quick. My thing that I loved about this was some fans at first, when they see Snoke when they see Kylo Ren kill Snoke, they think it's another Vader kills Palpatine. When it's the exact opposite. He's not killing Snoke to save Rey. He's doing it to build himself up.
Once again, rhyme, not repeat.
All right,
Hashtag rhyme, not repeat.
Let's move on to Rey's parents. Rey is convinced that she has turned Kylo back into Ben Solo. She is so happy, and instead he turns around and says, "Join me. Let's burn everything to the ground." The whole reason stop trying to find who you are in your past heroes and your parents. Your parents were nobody junkers in Jakku who sold you for drinking money. I love this. I absolutely adored this because, again, the whole point of this story, and I'm getting to the point of this film is one, deconstructing your heroes, but also that the future of Star Wars and the future of this galaxy is not in Skywalker. It is in no-name people and in the individuals and the Force is awakening throughout the galaxy like it did millions of years before Skywalker's turned up. It is now moving on further. And that is what I adored about this reveal. And that is what I loved about the fact that she has no-name parents. Matt, what do you want to say?
Yeah, I agree. You know why? Because we all love Star Wars and we love, the prequels or the backstory to Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader. But when you really look at Phantom Menace, who was Anakin Skywalker? Like, who the hell was he? Like, he was just some slave kid on Tatooine. Qui-Gon Jinn hadn't accidentally shown up there. No, what happened? He would have just spent his whole life on Tatooine. Like, I love this because I love that it is because when you really look at the Skywalker lineage of Jedi, we kind of got one really all-around good one, and even then, we saw what he ended up doing when he tried to, create the Jedi Order again. Maybe we should leave it in hands of some no-name people who have no connection to that story. I think this is an amazing thing for the saga. I think it's a great thing for Rey's character that she does. Now, I'm not 100% sure if we're done with her parents, but I do think as of right now, the idea that she does not have to be tethered with being a Solo, a Skywalker, that she is like the Jedi, like the Jedi who started the Order, she came from nowhere, and that's the whole point, because we saw Ben Solo, he came from the lineage of the Skywalkers, and look at where that led him. Maybe it's best to have a nobody be our hero.
Chris, you are chomping at the bit. What's up?
Mm-hmm.
This is the best scene. This is one of the best scenes in the film, simply due to the fact that it truly is going to establish. It establishes who the true conflict is between in this film. Rey and Kylo. Because sure, you could argue it started with Force Awakens, and technically speaking, yes, it did. But to be fair, she made him mincemeat in the end of that film. But this movie now officially showed that come the end of episode 9, one of them is dead. And yes, we all know it's gonna be
Or both?
Kylo or
Maybe.
both. That'd be interesting. Or maybe Kylo kills Rey. We don't know.
Maybe neither.
And we don't know at this point.
Well, and like I said, I'm still convinced that now Jacob, you are absolutely right. You are right. I am agreeing with you. That's not what's gonna happen though. Because Disney knows the Skywalker name is marketable.
Okay.
Ergo.
Yep.
Have fun, you two.
All right.
All I'm saying is Kylo is still probably toast at the end of this series. And I'm not saying they're gonna redeem him. But one last thing. When he is offering his hand and he's like, come join me, please. And when he's even saying like, to your parents and to the galaxy at large, you're nothing. But to me, you're everything.
So,
I mean, he pretty much just straight up
So
says,
romantic.
well, it's true.
I like the fact that Rey's parents could be nobodies, and I say could because hear Snoke talk about how he's been inside Kylo's head. He was the reason why they got the Force bond. He was he's been in Kylo's. He knows his every thought, and essentially he's saying that he can kind of manipulate. He's been manipulating Kylo Ren, and he can kind of show him what he wants to show Kylo. So a part of me thinks when Kylo says, I've seen your parents, part of me thinks, well, maybe that's Snoke implanting something in Kylo to get Rey to come towards Kylo, because that's something that Snoke knows that Rey wants to know about. How does Kylo know Rey wants to know about her parents beforehand? I'm not quite sure about that. So it's part of me also thinks that Snoke knows a lot more about Rey because he was very curious about her in Force Awakens. That he knows something about her, and he wants to offer at the first chance he gets. And how can he do that? He has to play these little manipulation games between Kylo and Rey. And so, if they just ended that her parents are nobodies, I'm fine with that. But I won't believe it until this trilogy is over.
Yeah.
And the scene's fantastic. The acting between, especially Adam Driver in the scene,
so good.
Amazing. I was like, holy crap, I love this dude. Like,
MVP.
I love this character. He's so tragic and menacing at the same time. It's far one of the more favorite scenes this whole movie. It just, I think it's my favorite acting scene between, at least from Adam Driver.
Now, to add on to that, I both love the idea that she could have no name parents. That's going to be a big plot point going forward. The sense of like she doesn't have anybody to look up to. There is no name. She has this blank slate, and I feel like that's going to be a powerful moment for her character. But at the same time, Rian Johnson didn't seem as interested about answering the question that J.J. Abrams posed in The Force Awakens, which was about, because Kylo Ren, when he's like, there's a girl, what girl? He's choking her. There was something that triggered. Or if you look also, and Maz is like, who's the girl? There's a deliberate cut to not find that out. Or why is Anakin's lightsaber calling to her specifically? There was this mystery in The Force Awakens that was set up. And Rian Johnson was like, nah. At the same time, I love that, but at the same time, it kind of, Rian Johnson was not interested in answering that. But I feel like also with JJ coming back, we're going to answer it. So there's something we're missing, because Rey herself says, I recognize this place, when she has never clearly been there before. While I do think she has no-name parents, I feel like there is something still we don't know yet. There might be some backstory we don't know yet. Still hoping for Jedi Mind Wipe. Probably is never going to happen now at this point. But one can hope. But I feel like there is something that will happen, or some knowledge that we don't know. Her parents are probably no names, but there's still a reason why she is so ridiculously powerful in the Force. It's not chosen one level. As long as we get some sort of explanation as to why she has this immense power with little to no training whatsoever, that puts Luke to shame in his ability, I'm okay with that, because this is a great arc for her character and what it could mean for the future.
All right, let's move
We'll
on
just
to
be a midi-chlorian count real quick.
Let's no.
Victorian. Oh, I'm so happy about that. But all right, let's move on to one of the coolest shots of the movie, and that is Laura Dern. Laura Dern turns the ship around and goes into hyperspace and destroys Snoke's ship. I have seen some complaints about people going, well, why didn't she just do that at the start? Because she wasn't desperate. Because
Yeah.
Exactly.
this was a oh god, I hope this works. Like, it wasn't a this is going to work on 100%. Absolutely. It was just they weren't that desperate at that point to try something like this. So I thought it was a absolutely amazing scene.
Yeah.
It worked really well. I know Manning didn't really like the Laura Dern character, but it worked really well for me, and I thought that this scene really worked and paid off incredibly well.
Oh, it's fantastic.
It also moved on to we haven't talked about her, but let's just talk about again how fucking underwhelming Phasma has been in this series. Like, just these films. Is she dead?
Yeah, she's
I
dead.
don't-
No.
at this point, I don't-
She is officially dead. There was no way she survived that. Like, she fell to a fiery death. Like, she had a Judge Claude Frollo moment. So
She's got special armor, so I don't know.
well, she's dead.
She's
no
dead.
question.
Listen, here's my thing. Here's my thing is Captain Phasma, I gave credit that maybe it was more marketing and stuff that put more focus on her than the actual movie. That wasn't Lucasfilm. That wasn't anything. But all right, I'm sorry. I have not read the Captain Phasma book, but hearing things about Phasma in that book, I go, he's a way to just screw a cool character. And it is, listen, say what you will about Boba Fett in Jedi, but at least he was cool in Empire and did cool stuff. Phasma is literally the most useless character in Star Wars. The fight scene between her and Finn is like pointless to the movie. Didn't need to be there. It didn't even really serve Finn's story. DJ in that scene served Finn's story. And I'm sorry.
So you're saying she's more useless than Jar Jar?
Yeah.
Dude,
because
okay, I'm sorry. At least Jar Jar got Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan to feed. Like, at least he did shit. She did nothing in all that. You take Phasma out of Force Awakens and this movie, you lose nothing. You lose absolutely nothing. DJ, however, in this scene works. DJ does work in this scene.
Yeah. Take Jar Jar out of the prequels, and the Empire don't get a clone army.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So, like, I'm not saying.
No. Sorry. I only said that just so I can watch Jacob squirm at that. Like, literally, that's yes. Phasma is one of the most useless characters in Star Wars. I will forever.
Yes,
I'm with that. But I just said that because I wanted to just troll you guys. I'm sorry.
Fair enough. Well, look, we got an awesome shot. Does anyone else want to talk about just that scene in general, or the fight between Phasma and them, or
that? Okay. So literally, when I'm watching it for the first time in the theater, I'm sitting right next to my parents, and when Laura Dern puts the Radis right through the Superstar Destroyer, literally, my folks and the people right next to me on the other side, they literally just go when we have the silence, and it's
pin drop.
It's so
it's
beautiful.
It's
honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I think it's made like my top 10 shots in Star Wars.
Wow, that's fair.
But
that's fair.
But okay, and Jacob did allude to this earlier. This is my thing personally. Yes, I realize it was a desperate move, but in my opinion, it should have been Holdo's move from the get-go.
Well,
that should have been what she decided to do, because what would that have accomplished? It would have destroyed the Superstar Destroyer, and it would have basically sent the whole fleet into disarray. So that the rebels would have had time and they could have saved a lot more lives to get down to Crate.
I get.
But I don't think they were. If they pulled that off earlier, I don't know how close they were to Crate, and so
Yeah, maybe it wouldn't have worked out actually.
Maybe they were too
Well,
far away from Crate to make a
Sure,
successful.
but again, now this actually comes to the one point I have against Holdo.
How dare you?
Why didn't she tell them to evacuate before they got closer to Crate? That's just my thing. Now, granted, you could have said, well, it's because they would have still gotten picked out of the skies. You know what? Maybe they would have, but it would have made more sense in my book to drop them off literally right into the atmosphere. That would have made more sense. But
I think it was because they were running out of fuel. Like they were literally dangerously close.
That was the thing.
They had no fuel left.
Now to my thing, we're skipping over a great moment, which is the end of DJ's story in this, which is also Finn understanding his arc in the film, which is not only does he gets paid off, he tells Finn the line, which I'm paraphrasing, which is, lose today, get him tomorrow, something. And then I love the thing with, that ATST, it's not DJ, because DJ is supposed to be who Finn kind of is at the beginning of this movie, which is, I'm only going to care about myself and my personal interests. Screw helping other people.
Yeah.
And that's what DJ does. DJ literally, he just leaves. He just says,
DJ served his purpose.
There's nothing to help me staying and saving you guys, and I love that because for Finn to see, because he doesn't have to say it, but you just get the, oh crap, this was me. If Rose hadn't hit me with the taser, that's me, just running when my usefulness of a situation has run out.
Well,
I love that.
Let's move on and talk about Crate. Oh, Crate. Yeah, Crate.
Yeah.
Crate.
Let's talk about the Battle of Crate.
Battle of Crate.
I love it.
Okay. All of the Oscars goes to the production designer because whoever decided that, hey, whenever someone shoots something, red goes up, it looked gorgeous. Like it just it gave this such a unique thing that we've never quite seen in Star Wars before, and I thought that was it was really smart and really clever. We got our Gareth Edwards cameo in this, which I thought was hilarious. Who was the other guy though? Like, is that anyone?
Guy?
He was the
guy. Yeah, like
he was.
That was my dad.
Cool.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Battle of Crate. What did everyone think? Did did anyone else think that? Yep, Finn was going to kill himself, sacrifice himself.
Yes, 100%.
Yes. Kearns, you may go, then I will go right after.
Okay, so first thing I love is that Rose and BB-8 and Finn all steal the ship, and when it comes in, the Resistance just starts shooting at them. You think they're stupid? They're going to take the chance that it's going to be First Order? No. I also love the whole thing of Poe saying he says the spark line later, but I love the thing of them using these shitty, rickety ships because that's what they have. The thing I love, and we saw this in the original trilogy with the Rebels, you see with the Resistance against First Order, is the good guys are always fighting the uphill battle technologically. We really see that here. These ships are falling apart, and we also do get the continuation of Poe's arc, which is we need to pull back. We can't keep going. We have to pull back. We need to be the spark to light the fire to First Order. I thought this was me, and then of course we get Chewie and Rey flying and doing what the Falcon does best, which is flying in to save the day, pretty much. So this entire battle was very reminiscent of the Battle of Hoth, which I love. That is my favorite starship battle still in Star Wars. And so I just thought there were so many great moments, and it just looked unlike any Star Wars battle. Like the shot of them just all dragging the red dust coming out was just amazing. I loved this battle.
Yeah, and I liked it a lot. I didn't love it because the highlight of this was definitely the production design, which I don't know, Blade Runner 2049 still exists for production design, so I'm like really close for that. But anyway, this is a great finale. This is a fantastic battle. The salt and then the red underneath is a fantastic addition. I love the gorilla walkers. I thought I wouldn't, but they work fantastic. And of course, Kylo in his really awkward chain of command with Hux echoing everything he says, or vice versa, was a great little addition of humor, I thought. And yeah, I enjoyed it. I didn't love it. I didn't love it a lot because it was a battle more to serve the story. The battle in itself wasn't as intense as you would think, but the tension was there because the tension was built upon the last stand they had. I mean, the people in the trenches really didn't do anything. If you look back at it, they kind of were just there to put their guns there for a really cool show effect.
Battle of Hoth said the trench guys really don't do that.
But we at least saw them shoot. They shot. They tried. These kind of people were just there. It was a show with Gareth Edwards and the salt guy. But anyway, I just thought it was a great scene. I enjoyed the Finn. See, if Finn had a more compelling arc this story, I actually would have been, or this episode, I would have been okay with his death because that would have been an emotionally charged and fulfilling, satisfying conclusion. If he just had a better side story in this, I would have been okay. But because it was lackluster, I would have been disappointed with how he would have gotten out. And
Speaking
come
of
on,
Finn's
Rose,
side story. Yeah, Rose.
Yeah, Rose crashing into him. They should have blown up. I mean,
I fully agree. That was stupid.
It should have been. That was stupid. But suspension of disbelief, that was incredibly idiotic what they did. But suspension of disbelief and having that moment, I thought worked. Maybe, I don't know yet. The side story, it's still up for debate. But I love their chemistry together. But at the same time, I'm not a fan of the side story in general, but I'll get back to you on that once it starts to fester for a little while.
This battle was visually stunning.
Yes.
Obviously, there's no doubt about it. I like these crate with the runners. I don't even know what they're called, but those ships are really cool. You know, Poe, his foot goes through the panel.
Yeah.
Great moment.
Yes.
And then my favorite part about this battle before we get to the finale is the Millennium Falcon flying through that crate, and that soundtrack kicks in from Return of the Jedi. That's like a fist pump moment for me. I was all about that. I wish it would have went on for like 10 more minutes, seriously. And then I was actually not looking forward to, but I was on board that they were going to look like kill Finn, and he was going to sacrifice himself for the Resistance. It was going to be the one thing that he actually did for the Resistance, and it was going to be so meaningful to stop this gun from blowing up the door and all that, you know. And then, you know, Rose comes in and sideswipes him and gets rid of that. But I was like, holy crap, they're actually going to kill Finn. I was like, holy crap, they're going to do it because you know why? They've been doing a bunch of crazy stuff for the
like they might as well.
You know, I was like, but then, as we've been saying this phrase all night, subverting our expectations once again. You know, they crashed and it was all this setup. You know, Rose basically give to kiss Finn, and I'm okay that they didn't kill Finn. I'm okay that they would have killed Finn because I think he finally learned that, you know, he's becoming selfless, and it's about the Resistance and finally destroying the First Order at any cost. And he was ready to give his life for it, which at the beginning of the movie, there's no way in hell he was going to do that. He wanted to run from the get-go, and now he's willing to die for it. So I think that was a great arc for him, but the way they went about it, again, like Manny said, not the greatest way to go about it. I like the end result, but not the way they got there. So there's
it's
kind of I what I did love is that with Finn's arc was at the start he was running to save his life, and then at this point he was going to sacrifice his life for the rebellion, and what I loved. And then that is the conclusion of his arc. If he does sacrifice himself, that's his arc, and it works, and it works great. But then they still manage to actually do that arc later when he is the one who gets up and goes, "This is the rebellion. We need
Yeah.
we're the rebellion. We need to do this. We're just we are a bunch of rebels. And when he says rebel scum to Phasma earlier, that is awesome. That's an awesome moment. He's just like, I'm rebel scum. Like it's so corny, but it works. So
It's
well.
very Star Wars. Very Star Wars.
It's very 80s action flick, but it's awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
Well, then all hope is lost.
Oh no.
They destroy
Yes.
the door. All hope is lost. It looks as though this is done. No one has answered the call to the rebellion.
Yeah.
And he walks. And he walks in and he walks up to Leia and her first line is she walks in and he goes to apologize and she says, I know what you're gonna say. I changed my hair. And waterworks started and that was it. I lost it. I'm crying. I bawled my eyes out. Oh my god, that was because it was such a Carrie moment. It was such a that scene doesn't play nearly as emotional. It still plays as emotional as it is because it's it's Luke reuniting with Leia and it plays absolutely perfect. But it impacts so much more now that we've lost Carrie, and it was this. Hey, this was the last time Mark and Carrie were together on screen, and Carrie saying "I changed my hair" just broke me, and it's a great
sequel. It's a great sequel moment to Han and Leia meeting up again.
And I'm just so thankful that this movie had it. I'm so thankful that this movie had it.
Yeah, it's oh my god. We're leading up to what is my favorite scene in this entire movie, which starts off with Luke giving her the dice and saying, I didn't come here to turn them. I came here to kill him. And then the gets up, 3PO, Master Luke, just the wink to 3PO is just such a, that's their relationship. But 3PO is always overanalyzing and doing all this, and Luke is just like, 3PO, I know what I'm doing. And Luke, I'm sorry, Jacob. I'm just going to take your job here for a second and just explain this whole sequence because this is my favorite scene in this movie. It's just this entire thing is Luke walks at, they're Hux and Kylo Ren, they're on the ship and they say there's one person coming out. Kylo Ren sees it's Luke and Kylo just says, fire on that man. All hell unleashes on Luke. Hux is like, okay, it's not. He's definitely dead. Again, the great idea of putting it on this mineral planet and having all the red dust, having it wipe away. And I know some people didn't like this moment. My audience started applauding when Luke looks. Yeah, okay, that was nothing. That was nothing to me. And then Kylo Ren says, put the ship down. He goes down and Kylo Ren turns on his lightsaber, and Luke Skywalker is going down, or so we think. And we get, for a kid who worshipped at the altar of Luke Skywalker since he was 3 and has worshipped at the altar to the point that he is now 20 years old, we get an amazing scene of Luke Skywalker being a badass. Kylo Ren cannot touch him. He can't do anything. He is lightsabers going over him.
Moves.
Just amazing moves. And then we get the moment of Kylo Ren slices Luke, and Luke's in one piece, and Kylo Ren goes to stab him, and nothing. And then we get.
Before you go there, who thought he was dead? Who thought that he was already dead and this was
Dude, me and my sister she was breaking my hand like I thought he was gone. I thought he was gone.
Yeah, I thought for a little bit.
And we get I'm not sure if the exact lines are correct here, but we get see around kid. And
yeah, that's what I said.
Luke vanishes and just again, this Luke Skywalker is my favorite. And what I love about this scene is, well, we also get the conversation of, again, the repeated line of everything you just said is wrong, and this thing of, and the whole time we're also seeing Rey is lifting the rocks and is saving the resistance of, you're not the chosen one, you're not the next hero, she is. And this whole thing of the greatest lesson Luke Skywalker ever learned from Ben Kenobi was not on Tatooine, not on the Falcon, it was on the Death Star when Luke stood and saw Obi-Wan put the lightsaber up and allow his apprentice to die. And he gives the same lesson to Kylo Ren. They both get the same lesson to their failed apprentice, which is you cannot defeat darkness with more darkness. It's impossible. You defeat it with light and with sacrifice. And that is the scene. And we get an amazing shot of Luke Skywalker. We see that he is on the rocks. The twin suns come up and Luke vanishes. And the arc of my favorite character ever is done. And it's amazing. And I'm near tears. And I'm going to let you guys go while I just go and cry in a corner because I saw this movie once on Friday. And I'm able to perfectly describe that scene. What does this tell you what I think of this movie? Someone else talk about this.
Chris, go.
Oh, sure. Go to the guy who's actually about to cry. Thanks, asshole. Look, between the cinematography, between the score, between the aesthetic, this, I can only describe this the scene from Luke walking out to the very end of this film as absolutely brilliant, fantastic, and just about damn near fucking perfect. Because the quote-unquote fight between Kylo and Luke, I'm not going to lie, if their blades actually clashed, that would have disappointed me. Because A, that would have ruined the illusion, and B, sure, Luke, said he's not there to turn him, but simultaneously, that also would have gone against the Jedi teachings of, hey, listen, I'm not going to strike you unless I absolutely fucking have to, motherfucker. And it was, it was really powerful, especially on Kylo's end, where Luke is like, I'm sorry. And then Kylo just literally screams back in his face, I'm sure you are. Because it's a moment of, I don't care if you're sorry. I want you dead. Because you single-handedly ruined my life. And now you're going to pay for it. But Luke had the upper hand the whole entire time. He had the high ground. Oh, yeah.
I don't really care that you just made that joke.
But
Okay.
But just to get away from that for 2 seconds here. The other reason that this works so well, like I said, this is the Logan moment of the movie, where the old is technically taken out by the new. But it's the old accepting the fact that he can die and accepting the fact that he will die and accepting his death, knowing that he will live on. Because, trust me, we're gonna get Luke in Episode 9 no matter what. Because now that we can't get... Oh, yeah, easily. Dude, here's the problem. After Carrie's passing, now you have to have Luke in there. You have to.
I will agree. Okay, I am hugely confident that we will have Luke in there, but I don't think it's going to be I don't think it's long.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
5 minutes.
I don't think it's long. But...
5 minutes. That I think he will have the.
Are we going to make another bet, motherfucker?
Here is my reason. I think the whole point of this film was get rid of Star Wars. It was let us destroy Star Wars and rebuild it into this new image that we can now that can go forward. Because I do think, look, if there was anything that Force Awakens had was that if you redo the story of Force Awakens again, if we keep retreading the same ground, you're it's a retread. And I think that was the whole point of this film, was let's deconstruct Star Wars. And moving on to the next film to be Kylo versus Rey, which I very much believe this next film is going to be about. You have deconstructed Star Wars, and you have gotten to the point where we don't need the Skywalkers. We don't need the original characters anymore.
Yes. I mean, this goes back to what was the line that Kyle Ren said to Rey in the last film? Han Solo is dead. He can't save you anymore. Now Luke Skywalker is dead. He can't. Every mythic story ends with every mythic story with a hero's journey. They have to lose the mentor, or else they can't grow. Rey had to lose Han and Luke to truly grow.
Yes. Although the sad thing is, though, technically speaking, because of the rules of this universe, Luke could pop in anytime he wants.
Why didn't Obi-Wan train Luke in in Empire?
Mic drop.
Okay. Slow clap there.
You shut up, Jacob. Okay.
Oh man, that's great.
So why didn't Obi-Wan train Luke? Obi-Wan couldn't.
But that's what I'm saying.
Well, no. Okay. Let me give you the correct way to phrase that.
He could not.
What? Exactly. That was cute, Frank. That was cute. The lessons that Luke needed to learn, Obi-Wan actually couldn't teach him those lessons. Yoda could teach him the lessons he needed to learn. Yeah, sure. Obi-Wan could have taught him, hey, this is how you use your lightsaber. These are your forms. This is how you lift the use the Force to lift shit. But the actual lessons that Luke needed to learn in Empire, Yoda could only teach him that. And there's probably one or two more lessons that Rey really needs to learn, and Luke is gonna have to teach her.
You're just kind of just fansplaining to justify why not. There's really no good answer. It's just the way that it is. It's just that's all that is. It's one of those things.
Yeah, but trust me, with an Australian prick, sometimes you gotta explain it in a way that he'll understand. Even though he's the birthday boy.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah. What?
Okay, well, now to end this discussion, I'm going to offer a dissenting opinion. I've seen this twice. I haven't cried once at this ending, and I don't know why. Because Luke is his second favorite character. I've put this man on a pedestal, and I wanted to cry so bad. I wanted to see this ending. I wanted to bawl like I did with Logan, seeing him die and just telling X-23 he'll be all right. This one didn't do it for me for some reason. And I think maybe it was the idea of we're giving up the old. I said this at the very beginning. I don't want to hear anyone said, let the past die. Kill it if you have to. I liked... I'm getting emotional thinking about this because Star Wars has meant so much to me. By the fact of them reconstructing and everything, I understand to help it grow. I'm not ready yet for that. It's the weirdest thing. I know in 10 years' time, I'll look back and I will. Let me finish. 10 years' time, I will look back and I will probably be that. But in this point of my life, I don't see why you needed to deconstruct Star Wars. I've loved everything put out so far because I'm a hardcore fan. But for the general audience, I understood why they needed to do this. I understood Rian Johnson's intent. He's coming from this as a fan. He loves Star Wars. People who are saying he hates Star Wars, for me, guys, come on, be real. This guy loves Star Wars, and he wants to let this go on forever. But the fact of him wanting to get rid of the old guard, it kind of hurts me in the sense because Luke could have continued on just a bit more, maybe a back seat, but him continue to train Rey just a bit more because she has no teacher. She's going to have to learn somehow, otherwise there'll be some explanation. I wanted Luke to continue. Well, yeah, the books, that is true. Well, she gets to do something about that. But I want. This is really getting really personal in the sense because it's nothing the movie could have done as Rian Johnson's vision. I know I've had to come to terms with that, but then again, this is the idea of what Star Wars has meant to me and what he's restructuring it and dismantling it. And I have to come at a point to where it's not about the Skywalkers. It's not about these old characters that I've learned. We're getting rid of those completely, and this is for a brand new generation. And as someone who are watching this for the first time, someone like my sister who enjoyed it more than I did, it's a beautiful thing to witness, and it's something I'm gonna have to go along for the ride and enjoy and come to terms with. I'll have to breathe, just breathe.
Well, I was about to say, Manning, literally what I think it just comes down to is just your personal interpretation of the film.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and to
You're
be fair,
not wrong.
dude, I'm right there with you. But the difference is I guess I've in something of my blind fandom, I've just been that more willing to accept it.
No, yeah, 100%. I know why some people who are bigger Star Wars fans than me have accepted this and loved this. Some people who are bigger have not accepted and loved this. This film will be divisive, and it goes along for. I mean, technical movie film critiques aside about the structure and all that jazz. But what he does with Star Wars is something that people are going to be talking about for a while. And I enjoy this fact that we get to talk about this. We get to actually have discuss and debates and about what Star Wars means to and what it means to different people, because it's not a film franchise. It is a multimedia experience. It is something you watch. It is something you listen to. It is something you read. It is something that infests your soul every single day, because that's something I grew up with since the age of 4. And it's just kind of along the lines of accepting what this means. So I'll stop.
I think, Manny, you're completely right. And, in a way, when I was retweeting every time that the little joke of, the title of episode 8 should really be, please God, you better not make me watch Luke Skywalker die, you evil bastards, don't make me do it, don't make me do it. I'm right there with you, but I think there's this great, with the character of Rey and with so many symbolic images of like this lightsaber being broken in 2
That hurt.
and not existing but the fact of the galaxy will go on without the Skywalkers. There was a galaxy before Anakin Skywalker, and now there's going to be a galaxy without the Skywalkers, is one of the most important things to the Star Wars universe, because, and it sucks to say that we're not going to move forward with Han and with Luke and with these characters that we love, but it's the fact that we don't need to. It's the reason why Rey is coming from nowhere, that she doesn't have to be tethered to the past, because this is a galaxy. And the galaxy is built off of different characters from different backgrounds, and we've just been watching one family story, and it's time to start a new one. And it sucks, but it's kind of what I love about this movie, is that I hated it, just like when I was 3 years old and I watched Phantom Menace for the first time and I loved Qui-Gon Jinn and I had to watch him die. I had to watch this movie and love it, but watch my favorite character die, because that is the great thing Star Wars can do, is it can piss you off while making you love it at the same time. And I'm fucking crying on YouTube. So Manny, maybe it's okay that you didn't care.
The whole scene of Luke passing on, the astral projection that was really cool stuff. I like that about the Force now, that we have that. I know a lot of people out there don't like that, but again, I think I eat up whatever Lucasfilm shoves in my face, and I accept it blindly, and I don't care. If they want to make that the Force, cool. If not, all right, cool. But the first time I saw this movie and Luke died, I was sad. At first I didn't think they were going to kill him, because he projected himself out there. I was like, oh, he's going to live. He's going to stay on the island. We'll see him in 9. That'd be cool. But then, I saw him struggling, and I was like, oh boy, this pretty much, it seems like it just zapped everything out of him. It took every last bit of him to do this, and he sacrificed himself in a sense. And it sucked to see that. And then I thought it was a very poetic way for Luke to go out. And the second time I saw it, it hit me even harder, knowing that he's gone, and he is my favorite character of all the Star Wars saga, the franchise, all that. He is my favorite, and it sucked to see him go. But at the same time, I'm kind of I like the way that he did go out. And it was
very well done.
Yeah, it was very well done. It was peaceful, and Rey said it was peace and all that. So, but what I do look forward to now is there's no excuse for Lucasfilm to not release stuff between Return of the Jedi and
Please.
Yes.
Oh, they will. They definitely will.
And-
Can I also just say,
I want a book tomorrow, damn it.
can I just say to Frank's point of peaceful natural, what I love is how did Luke's journey kind of start in A New Hope? Him staring off at the suns going,
Yep.
there's more to my life than this. How does his journey end? Staring at the same suns going, yeah,
Mhm.
my life was worth way more than being a farm boy. Just the fucking, you guys for making me do the spoiler talk.
You're the one to keep talking, so
Let's-
Jacob,
God,
you
yeah,
listen.
I know. God.
All right. And we end The Last Jedi with
Kid.
with Rey and Kylo still connected one last time.
Yeah.
Kylo hoping that she will stay with him, and Rey shutting the door on him, flying off into the distance. Leia and Rey talking. Leia and Chewie hugging, which I thought was a nice
Finally.
little fuck.
Yeah.
Fuck you to J.J. Abrams. And then Leia and Rey talking, both realizing Luke has died, and then we move, and then it flies off through hyperspace. The Falcon flies off into hyperspace with the rebellion on the Falcon. The Falcon has now become the rebellion base,
That's
and
awesome.
then we move, and then we see the story of Luke Skywalker going up against the Empire, sparking a new rebellion and a new hope for a new generation, and a child who has now become inspired by the Resistance, and that is what I love. And a child who has the Force, and that the Force is calling to these no-names, nobodies. And there is the point of the film. We started the film with three main characters who have gone through an arc. Each one of them goes through an arc. Right? We have a man who just wants nothing to survive at the end, has found something to believe in. A cocky fighter who thinks the best way to win something is just by attacking, has learnt that sometimes leadership is walking away. And a woman who discovers that sometimes you can find family and hope in family that is not necessarily your lineage. It is who you relate to and who you love. And that was The Last Jedi, and I think it ended up perfectly. It had the final scene is one of the most important scenes in this entire film, and I think it was 100% needed. I am completely against what Christian Harloff says. I think that scene was one of the most important in the film, and is absolutely needed. Guys, what are your thoughts just on the final scene of Last Jedi? And wrap it up. What are your thoughts on Last Jedi?
Finally.
Hey, I'll go
3
for
hours.
I'll go for another 3 if you want.
It's okay.
I mean, I'll start.
This is cathartic.
I listen. Broom Kid, as Ken Knapsack and Christian Hoff like to call him.
Broom Kid.
I like it. It's again like you just said, Jacob. The fact of this, Admiral, her name is escaping. Haldo said. And what Finn reiterated, we are the spark that is going to drive out the First Order. We see in those kids the spark. And we see the little pendant, and we see that hope grows out of darkness. And perfect way to end this movie. And I think this is, again, like I said at the beginning, this movie reminded me why I love Star Wars. And it did such a good job of doing things that should anger me, but I ended up loving. And this is one of the greatest Star Wars stories ever told, because it does what the great Star Wars movies do, which is subvert your expectations and put your main characters on arcs that they really come out fully formed. And this is a fantastic movie that I can't wait to watch again and again.
Manny?
Oh, me. Oh, I couldn't hear. It was like a it was a garble, so I was wanting to make sure. Thank you, Peanuts. Now we got the mouse droid in here. It's a party. But anyway, that last scene was a little bit on the nose. Personally, I understood what they were going for, but that's beside the point. The point of this is The Last Jedi did things we didn't expect. It didn't. It subverted as, hey, look, this word's coming up a lot. It subverted expectations, and I get that's okay. This was a cathartic. Consider this a counseling for me personally as a fan, hearing people talk about this, because Lord knows I needed it. The fact that the Skywalker saga and the soap opera of that George Lucas has envisioned is moving on. This is a symbolic for moving on from what he has done to show that it will continue for years to come. And I have to be okay with that. And I have to move on to that. And this movie, while I'll look back and I probably won't love it as much as you guys, because it does some things, just some story structure wise, that I'm not the biggest fan of. As a film fan, it's fine. As a Star Wars fan, I'm gonna love whatever they do. I'll have complaints. And that's okay. But
Frank,
Star Wars is amazing.
Yeah, the way they end this movie was, I did not see that coming. You know,
Yeah.
Broom Boy,
Broom Boy.
which was
Boy.
it was interesting to see it end that way, because I wanted, going into this movie, I wanted to know what was Rian Johnson really going to focus on, because I felt like that would be somewhat of an indication of where he might go in his original trilogy or his new trilogy. I don't know the answer out of this, to be quite honest. I don't know if he's gonna if this trilogy is gonna take place after this trilogy, you know, chronologically, timeline wise. But with this movie, again, everyone's been saying this, subverting expectations and twists and turns and back and expanding upon the Force in new ways that I was ready to see new stuff for the Force, and this movie gave me that. And it gave me some really iconic moments, I think, for a new generation of Star Wars fans. And it harkens back and it touches on other iconic moments from the original trilogy. So it kind of gives you both, I think, and it did a good job, I think, melding the two together in a way that shows us that we're moving on. We're going another direction, and sadly, the Skywalker saga will be ending, and it has to at some point. And you know, it really can't go on forever. It's stale, and you know, out of risk of going stale, you know, they went in this really bold direction, and I love this movie a lot. Like I said, I got Empire, A New Hope, and Last Jedi. That's my top three. And it's only that high because of The Force Awakens is good enough to propel this movie, just like A New Hope helps propel Empire. So that's how I look at it. And man, it's been a long 2 years for the.
Oh my god!
I'm really not
Yeah.
2018, 2019 anymore. Let me give my last thoughts before throwing back over to Chris, who will take us out after his last thoughts. I love this film. I've seen it 3 times. The first time I walked out, I really thoroughly enjoyed it. The second time I walked out, I thought I was, okay, this is a really, really, really great film. The third time I saw it, I fallen in love. I will be watching this and Force Awakens and Empire and A New Hope over and over and over again. Those are my 4 Star Wars films now. Jedi, I will put in there every now and then, but these are the 4 Star Wars films that I am going to always talk about. Whenever someone mentions Star Wars, these are the films that I'm going to be talking about. And it's one that I'm very happily to call a Star Wars film, call one of my favorite Star Wars films. This is up there. This is a great film. This is a absolutely fantastic. It improves it moves the lore on. It discusses. It tries to discuss things going on in the world at the moment with Star Wars, but it moves the story forward than we ever would have thought it would, and it gives us a much brighter and much different future for what the future of Star Wars looks like than Force Awakens or anything beforehand did, and that's why I adored this film so much. So they are my thoughts. Chris, take her away.
Thanks, Jacob. Thank you for sort of guiding this conversation along, because, like I said, I would have happily, but you already had the notes, so I'm like, you know what? Take it away. I fucking love this movie. I love this movie because this might quite possibly be the most challenging, the most defiant, and the most absolutely risk-taking Star Wars film of all time. And I don't think we're gonna get a Star Wars movie that will ever top this movie in terms of how crazy it's gonna get. But I can't thank it enough for that. I can't thank Rian Johnson enough for the quality of product that we got here in this amazing flick. And for what it's worth to the people the Mannings of the world. I completely see your points. I'm not trying to say you're wrong or stupid. Literally, I get it, because I'm right there with you. Star Wars is in my blood. It is my bread and butter. It is my life. I have been obsessed with this franchise since I was 3 years old. I know way more about this than I should. And sure, I want us to get to a point where maybe we have like a Cade Skywalker story, or hell, even a Ben Skywalker story, like from the old EU. But that time is coming past. I have to accept that this is an evolving franchise. The times are different. And if I can just get over my own personal bullshit and accept that for what it is and move on, we will all be better fans for it, and we'll be a more united fan base for it. Because right now it's all about my opinion is right, your opinion is wrong, fuck you. But that's not how it should be. That's never how it should be. Star Wars brought the world together, and it needs to keep the world together. So, guys, thank you for joining us on this very extensive review and breakdown of Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi.
Don't watch anything else. You got it all here.
Exactly. Pretty much, you got it all
Pretty
here.
much, yeah.
So, with that, we're going to close up shop here. Frank, our special guest, where can the good folks find you online?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at FrankieJ29. And if you're a fan of the Schmodown, sorry guys, Schmodown Rundown. On that just got to throw it in.
Ooh, lordy. All right. Manny, where can the good folks find you online?
You can find me at Cine_man. That's cinema, but it's like man and Manningen, CIN_MANN, one day it'll get easier to say, but
That's all good, dude. Matt, where can the good folks find you online?
You guys can find me at Kearns_Matthew on Twitter, crying about that Luke Skywalker scene when it gets past the time someone would scream at me for spoilers. You can find me on YouTube, Matt Movies 611, and hosting the Movie Fandom Show right here on Take 3.
Jacob London, where can the good folks find you online?
You guys can find me hosting the Better Schmodown Show.
Shots fired.
Where are the statistics on that burn, Frank?
You guys,
They're not good.
the Reactors Summit right here on Take 3, and the winner is, this is going to be my last thing on Take 3 for the year. Actually, this is it for me. I am no longer on anything more to Take 3 for the rest of the year. So thank you so much, guys, for hanging out for this year. It's been absolutely incredible. This has been a great year. So it's been a lot of fun. It's been chaotic. We got through it, and I'm really excited for what an incredible 2018 we're all going to have. You guys can find me also on Facebook and Twitter at Jacob London, and on Letterboxd, where I do all my movie reviews.
All right. You guys can find me on Twitter at my band Last Shot Redemption, at LSAR Band MN. You guys can follow Take 3 Productions on Twitter and Instagram at Take 3 Trivia. You guys can follow me on Letterboxd and Stardust at Chris Take 3. You can find me right here hosting Nights of the Podcast every Thursday. You can find me over at the Worldwide Movie Games Network as well. You can follow them on Twitter at WWMGN Take 3. And guys, thank you for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe to Take 3 Productions. For Frank Janish, Jacob London, Manning Franks, and Matthew Kearns, I'm Chris Skywalker Doman. We'll see you guys next time, and may the Force be with you always. Take care.
They got really emotional in the last 30 minutes.
A little bit. Don't give a shit.